This program is rated MA. It contains adult themes, coarse language, sexual references, and violence.
You spin my head right round when you go down,
You spin my head right around when you go down,
Hey, walk out the house with my swagger, hop in that whip, yo, I got places to go. People to see, time is precious, I look at my Cartier out of control. Just like my mind where I'm going, the women, the shorties know nothing but clothes. No stopping at my Pirelli's on, unlike my jewelry that's always on. I know the storm is coming, my pockets keep telling me it's gonna shower. Call up my homies, it's on and popping the night cause it's meant to be ours. We keep a fadeaway shot cause we ballin' and spittin' up Patron every hour. Look mama, ow, you just like the flowers. Serve you the truth with all that goody power. You spin my head right round when you go down,
You spin my head right around.
All right, we're back. Long time no see. How's it going? Okay. We got the usual crew here tonight, except Drunk Canadian is off. We mentioned in the pre-show that he is off. What was he doing?
I don't know. I don't remember hearing it in the pre-show.
Having
Oh.
a life.
Oh, who did we say was off doing something in the pre-show then?
Well, it must be him. He's the only one missing, right?
Well, Blastum's not here.
Oh, yeah, Blast.
Oh, Blasphemous. Okay, yeah. Anyway, DC's not here, but we got Jin Tan as the replacement. How's it going, Jin?
It's going fantabulous.
All right, and that's all the introductions. That's everyone that's here.
You know all the rest of
Everybody
these
else
bitches.
is just the normal people.
Yeah.
Their
Oh,
names
yeah,
are
yeah.
under their,
Okay, wait,
pictures, apparently.
Drayden, Dirk, Elby, and Rain are here.
Hi.
Yeah. So, anyways, this week, this week we're gonna rush through some stuff. Just some little tidbits up front because we did have the Summer Summit minutes drop today. I want to say partially that's why Jin's here, but really Jin's just sort of like becoming a quasi regular from overseas. No birthdays here, but I do want to throw a birthday shout out to Roannon. Today is his birthday, so you know what? The birthday shout out to Ro.
Yeah.
See you in Vegas.
Happy birthday!
The real problem is, however, if Daka gets, I'm gonna not be able to do the show anymore because then I'll be an illegal immigrant to the show. Or something. I don't know American law.
And I guess
was
you're
trying
of
to make it
DACA age,
topical.
so that might be true. Hey, look, it wouldn't be another Friday without another fucking hurricane out there. Hurricane Irma Gerd. Okay, fucking Hurricane Irma, man, Florida. Listen, if you live in Florida right now, I don't give a shit where you are in Florida, unless you're like out in the Panhandle. Anywhere in Florida, if you're listening to this show right now, you need to stop listening, get in your car, and drive to Chicago or something.
Well, you can put it on your phone while you're driving. I mean,
Yeah,
You should focus on driving, not your phone.
you can listen to the
Also-
audio. You don't have to watch it on the phone. But I mean, if you put it on the dash, it's safe.
If you live in the Florida Keys, get the fuck out. If you live in Miami,
Yeah.
seriously, you need to go too.
But-
If you live
Safe.
anywhere, I don't know, pretty much south of Orlando.
Well, they're saying the storm surge is
like
like
going someplace
25
else.
to 30 feet. What was it? Grand Turk. That was actually one of the islands I was at in January. Grand Turk is not a mountainous island. It's pretty small. And that, apparently, I don't know if it's happened or not, but apparently they were saying that whole island with the storm surge could get completely washed over. Like, during the high points of the storm, it just won't be an island anymore. It'll be like this sub-ocean hump.
It's like that joke, what's the difference between Atlantis and Florida? 3 days? Like, it's kind of like that joke. Florida's flat, there's no high ground.
But
You could say
I am going to pour a shot here because I do want to say
I just did one for
I want
Rose.
to say this. Okay, well, you see, I wasn't going to do that, not because of Roe, but because I knew that I needed to line one up and I need to be able to like semi-talk sensibly while we do this. But I am doing a shot for this because last week at the beginning of the show, everybody to give to the American Red Cross link that actually was like a Tito's matching kind up to $50,000 for that, and part of that was because there were actually a bunch of things. We had Falcon here last week, and we also had the announcement of the winter expansion that was coming. So there was actually like a lot of things to talk about, and I really didn't want to get involved with doing shots anywhere near related to donations directly to the. plus the stuff could go directly to the American Red Cross. However, at some point we crossed a threshold and donations started to come into the show, and we said that we would make sure that they got there. And we raised $550 last week. So I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to all those people that donated. Want to do a shot to all those people that fucking donated. Thank you very much. For those that went directly to the American Red Cross, thank you for that as well. What's great about the American Red Cross is, yes, while last week, it was about Houston and Texas and the surrounding areas down there. Obviously, here in America, we're like getting into third world tropical zone, territory, and there's another big one that's getting ready to roll in through Florida. So hopefully, it will all help there. Yes, I did. I didn't know it was $550 until today. I thought it was $500. I matched $500 of last week's donation, so that also went in. So
$1,000,
whatever. But thank you to all of you out there who donated.
Yeah.
Somebody came up with the thing of this week it should be ISK for Irma. I think that was LB. Instead of Plexus for Texas, it should be ISK for Irma. But yeah. Yes, Wolfglen, I still have a liver. This is, well, you know what? This is generally the only night of the week that I drink. So, but yeah, last week it was a little bit of punishment. It warned me about it the next day, and although I did go out the next day because I had to go to a birthday party type Labor Day weekend barbecue, and that got off to a slow start, but eventually made it to where it needed to make it to.
I did my 3 a.m. Denny's run. This time it did not sit well. Greasy breakfast.
It did not sit
well. Greasy breakfast, chicken noodle soup, and then I think the thing that really kicked it for me was I had a giant glass of orange juice and a milkshake, and I'm sure that curdled all to fuck in my stomach, and probably it was like a cement mixer basically. And yeah, it was
You get the worst fucking mashups when you go to
what?
Denny's later.
Those
tonight.
things all sound delicious, and so I just get them.
I just went to bed and woke up really tired.
The walk back home was a doozy.
Crazy.
I bet it was. Real quick, there was a fight yesterday. And I'm just gonna go through a little bit of. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm missing a couple things here before I even get into kind of Eve-related news. Although this is sort of Eve-related, it was announced today that Eve-Vegas has sold the fuck out. All the tickets. God damn, Wolfglen.
Wolfglen with the $50.
On service general joke.
General on service joke.
Yeah, Eve Vegas. All of the mainline tickets for the event are sold out. So there are more people going this year, and in the past, Eve Vegas has never sold out. It's gotten close, but it has never actually sold out. Certainly not this, anywhere this close, this early. So you know what? Props to them. Obviously, I think we announced last week that there were only 4 tickets left to the pub crawl. Right now, there's supposedly a waiting list for the pub crawl. What I would say is this: I would actually be shocked if they don't somehow find a way of including even the waiting list on it. Assuming that it doesn't get into some big size or whatever.
But the thing is, and
I'm gonna do a shot because I'm happy that Wolfglen's watching us tonight.
Yeah, what a good viewer. But now we've mentioned it before. The nice thing is this year, all the stuff that we're going to is within distance. So even if you don't have a pub
crawling distance, literal crawling distance.
Right. So even if you don't have a pub crawl ticket, you can still go. You just don't get any of the free drink bonuses that everyone else does. You just gotta buy your drinks.
No.
Or are they doing something different?
Were you here last week?
I was here. Not in I don't remember.
You were here at the point where we were talking.
The fact
about
that there was a show means I had to have been
here.
I'm sure I was pushing buttons, but I don't know where the hell I was last week.
So the first part of the pub crawl is going to be out at the pool area of the Link Hotel. That is only going to be open to the people that have tickets. The second part is going to be on the High Roller. That is only open to people who have tickets. And the third part is going to be at Virgil's Barbecue, out on their patio deck or whatever, and that's only going to be open to people with tickets. So no, you will not be able to technically follow along for all of those things the same way you could if we were going to public bars, in and out, that kind of thing. But whatever. You know what? people go out, they get wrecked on their own. Eventually, we will all be back to whatever the central bar is in Vegas, and looking to, like, take the rest of the night away. So whatever. But yeah, so those things are sold out. Really glad to hear that. One of the things I am going to unveil tonight, and Dre, you can get that picture up if you've got it there, is this year's Open Comms Eve Vegas T-shirt. I wasn't going to do a fucking T-shirt, but I don't know what it is, man. I've got one of those fucked up personalities where it's like all year long I'll tell myself, quit spending money on this shit. And then, like a month before, I sit there and get that fucking urge to be like, you know what? I personally want a new T-shirt this year that says Open Comms on it. And so then I buy it and I go, shit, I'll make a bunch more. I'm not guaranteeing any to anybody. The staff gets some. I've got a couple other ones out there like Mrs. Country and shit like that. But yeah, you know what? You got to find me at fucking Vegas. I will have T-shirts. They will probably run out by like, I don't know. I may still have some by like Friday morning or whatever. This year's. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be 100% fucking honest. It's not as cool as last year. Last year,
it's a nice general shirt though. It's like sometimes simple is good.
I like it. Yeah, I really like it. I like
last year. A lot of things really came together. We had the introduction of Omegas. We had the whole Make America Great Again. So I created the Omegathron, which is actually the shirt that I have on, but whatever. I'm not going to turn around right now and show you the red, white, and blue Megathron that I have on the fucking back of it. Last year was different. Last year was kind of like this, like, really over-the-top type thing. Believe me, it was really fucking over-the-top to print, too. But this year is more about strictly Open Comms. It's really about, as you saw in the fucking intro to the show and whatnot, this is one of our, this is like one of the disclaimers that we have for this particular show. This is a mature audience's fucking only kind of show, as far as Eve shows go and all that kind of shit. And I thought that would actually be a really good thing. Because as far as I'm concerned, when we go out to Eve Vegas, it's mature audiences only as well.
Everyone in chat is already saying they're like, how much? Take my money.
Yeah.
I need this shirt, so.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Here's
what I will do. If you're not going to Eve Vegas, okay, or you want to insure yourself a fucking shirt, okay, here's the deal. I want you to email me in game, Dirk, D-I-R-K, space, MacGirk, M-A-C-G-I-R-K, okay. Tell me your in-game name, tell me, who you are out on fucking Twitch or whatever, and tell me what size you want in a t-shirt. And here's what I'll do. Before this order gets processed, like in the next day or so, I will do that. If you're listening right now on podcast, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you. This order has to get in so that I have it in hand and whatnot. But for those of you who are listening right now, if you want one of these, and you're going to be at Eve Vegas. No, I'm not shipping this shit to you.
Mum Bellicose, Eve Mail is your in-game mail. Eve.
Mom Bellicose is not my
Eve Mail is just like
I'm not actually Mom Bellicose. People think that, but I'm not.
No, I'm telling Mum Bellicose.
Oh, you're telling Mom out on Twitch.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
so
joking.
she doesn't
Anyways.
get left out.
If he's, although I will say, if he's not going to Vegas, Wolf Glen,
if you want your stuff mailed, I'll mail you a shirt.
Wolf
Glen should get a
shirt.
Literally, I'll send it to goddamn Wolf Glen.
I was gonna say Wolf Glen will get one. I was gonna say, like, give me a shirt for him and I'll ship it to him, because I think Wolf Glen should get one.
Please deliver to my house with a meatball sub.
Oh my god! Yesterday I went and got my. Never mind. Anyways,
that sounds like a
hit
story.
me up in game. Hold on, let me rephrase this a second. I'm sorry. If you're willing to pay an extra $5, okay, and these things will be somewhere in the. If you want to be insured of one of these, or you want to have me send them to you, they're going to be something like $17 plus $5 shipping. Okay, fuck it. You know what? I don't give a shit. Send me your goddamn real in-game thing. Yes, I'll get it shipped out to you. I'll probably even get it shipped out to you before Eve Vegas if I get them in time. Go ahead, just do it. I don't care. You know what? Screw it. It's too early in the goddamn show for me to be saying drunk things and not actually commit to it. But just know that it will be $17 plus an extra $5, you know, shipping and handling or whatever. And if
US
you want
dollars.
2, then it'll be like an extra $97 shipping and handling.
The double up. That's where they get you.
Or if you're going to Vegas and you want to insure yourself one out there, let me know that. There won't be any shipping and handling charge. If you want to guarantee that you actually get one out there, just let me know your size and I can make that change.
Oh my God, Wolf Glen.
Everything else is going to be like, you know, I don't know, as you come up to me or, you know, oh, mother.
Yeah, I would say Wolf Glen just popped another 50. He says he'd like an extra large, please.
How long until we like start taking off clothes?
I'm gonna write
Like,
it
I
down
feel
now.
dirty.
Well,
No.
I'm gonna write Wolf.
no,
Glen
that's
down
for
right
his.
now.
No, we do Wolf Glen's private stream for him. We all go into cam girl mode, and Dirk and I just
Wolf
like we
Glen's
wear all
private
the
stream.
Dirk and I wear all the lacy thongs and everything, and
Well, is Wolf Glen coming to Vegas or no or?
I don't think he is.
Because I know Matterall and I will. Like,
I
hug
think
the
I remember
shit
him
out of him out there if he comes.
Yeah,
to Vegas.
yeah, no, he's not. Okay, he just said he's not, but I think I think I remember
Oh.
because he's in my corp. But I remember him talking at CorpComs that he can't make it this year. So
Anyways, all right. So that's it about the t-shirts. I just wanted to like, you know, kind of quick unveil it here and shit like that. Yeah, I'm not looking to make any fucking money off of these goddamn things or whatnot. You know, it's like, you know, whatever the cost is for having them printed. Yeah, so that's that. Let's see here. Hurricane, money raised, Brandon's birthday, Vegas. Okay, yeah, done. Actually, moving into a little bit of Eve news, just real quick. Big fight last night in where was that? Where was that, Jen? Where did you lose 100 billion is killing a Rataru?
It was 3D tag, and it was over the course of like 3.5 hours. Yeah.
It was, yeah, and this was apparently, as far as I know, a neutral Rataru that got put down there that PL came to
It was a Waffles
valiantly
Alt
defend.
Waffles Alt Corp, sure. Yeah, we'll spin that. We'll go with that. Sure.
And yeah, we went down. I don't know.
We killed
There,
Jay
there was
McClane.
word that you were going to be running a Macarial fleet, so like, you know, we were a little hyped about that. We didn't want to run up against any like, you know, Artie Abaddons or whatnot, so we came down.
Yeah. Well, we got the real important thing though, because we did kill Jay McClane. I said I would shoot him.
nice. Yeah.
So
Wait, but
we
hold
shot
on,
him.
hold on. Last night you told me you did not intentionally have him targeted first.
No, I didn't. But you know, my target caller decided that Jay McClane was a good name, so fucking obliterated his asshole
Fucking terrible.
with a Mac volley.
Yeah.
See, this is why you shouldn't have a name that, like, you know, stands out to other
I
people
read
out
it.
there.
I read it wrong. I almost said Stream Elements just subbed for 6 months, but that's the bot name. Eve Onion News 6 months. Thanks, man.
By the way, Dirk, I was the Macarial that was damping you. That was my ult.
Oh. Okay.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Wait, you have
But
a
yeah.
PLO?
You know what? It was actually a reasonably good, good slugfest there at first. Shit. You know, we took a couple jumps and then came through the gate, to get there. And you guys were sitting there right on the other side of the fucking gate waiting for us and shit. We had a big slugfest there, Macarial on Macarial and cap on cap action going on right on the fucking gate. When
Obviously, did not go in our favor. But,
no,
you know,
it
we
didn't.
tried.
I mean, it was a good fight though. I mean, it was a good slugfest.
Yeah, very good fight.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously, look, I'm gonna be honest. When you guys left, I'm like, oh fuck, is that it? It was just like, oh god, and then we went over and we chased some people off of the Rataru, and I'm like, okay, this will be saved and whatnot, and then boom, they come back in fucking Serbs. Now, when you guys came back in Serbs, you got freaking headshot, I think, right off the bat,
immediately.
right?
Yeah, that just makes sense.
Well-
Not gonna begrudge them.
Were you the FC or
Yeah, I was the FC. I'm always the FC.
you don't use a? I thought. FC
Well, yesterday
generally
you
went-
said you weren't the signal
Command
call.
ships,
Oh,
though.
you were the FC, but
No,
not
no.
but not the target call.
Yeah, I just had another dude who was calling targets for me.
Oh,
Like that. Yeah, that's not.
do you not run command ships when you FC?
I do generally, but it doesn't matter. Like if you.
Yeah, well, he was in a command ship.
If
He
you're
died in
fighting
the
against
command ship
someone-
during the Mercurial fight. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was in just a regular line member serb for the main thing because I knew we would it wasn't gonna matter. We were never gonna hold versus max with Serbs, so I just figured I'll try and outrun you. And I need to anchor the Serbs anyway.
I mean, here's the one thing that I will. Okay, so even out there, it was kind of like turkey shoot, sort of territory. Actually, the only thing that made shooting the Serbs less of a turkey shoot was bombers kept chasing you guys like to pings and stuff like that. So you guys kept having to like warp away.
Two different PL fucking bomber squads and bombers bar bombing us constantly. It was not fun.
Yep. But Locator, big news from this story was Dirk being sober enough to fly spaceships in space. That's not true.
It's Thursday.
I'm sober every fucking night. The big news was that I fucking undocked and got into it. Yeah, but whatever. It was at a really good time, and
I
there
think
it was.
that's like a misconception people have. It's like outside of Friday, I don't think any of us drink very much. Well,
It was
maybe
a really-
some-
it was
I
a
go
really
hard
fun
on
fight.
Saturdays.
Rain's a little
sometimes.
fucking tipsy every
you
afternoon.
go hard in
No,
the paint.
I go hard on Saturdays, but no, not during the week usually, unless I do happy hour.
Go hard in the paint.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing we always said about fucking Tito's. Like like BC and I used to say about fucking Tito's is one of the things we liked about it was it didn't have it was really kind of smooth. It didn't have a lot of burn because neither one of us like the taste of alcohol. I do not like the fucking taste of
I
alcohol.
don't mind it. I mean,
I drink it merely for its fucking effect.
drinking it
I
straight.
know I could do a
there-
pill, but then I'd be like a fucking
Yeah, there's
opioid
no-
abuser or something.
I don't think there's any booze that I take a shot of and I'm like actually like, that's delicious. Like when I do a shot, but there's a lot of mixed like cocktails that are really good. But
Boy, I actually
But
came.
I actually like
That's good
BC
stuff.
could never believe it. Like he just refused to believe that what I was saying was actually truth. But I do enjoy the taste of beer. Like I do like beer.
It's really funny. As I've gotten older, okay, I've generally come to if it's a really hot day and I've been out working in the yard or doing something, you know what I mean? It's like I crack that beer and I'm like, damn, this went down smooth. This was good. I really enjoyed this. But like on any other given fucking day, like on a really hot day and you're working hard and doing manly things, to me a fucking beer tastes great. Any other day, I don't want that shit. Like I'd much rather have a fucking iced tea or lemonade or just something.
Oh, and Buster Guy Gaming, he said Fireball whiskey is nice for shots. Fireball is pretty nice for shots, and that actually just reminds me. I take that back. I actually do enjoy the taste of Jaeger. Like, I can actually just drink Jaeger and be like, this is delicious. This is actually straight
it's like
delicious.
fermented shoe leather. I do it.
Hey,
I
you know
did
what?
Some Jaeger
I'll
bombs last
eat a
Saturday night, but
if that's what shoes taste like, I'll fucking eat shoes.
But anyways, I just threw back on track here. Back on track.
Yeah, okay,
because Dirk's not still like completely fucked up. Holy shit! Did this thing go up to 121 billion since the last time I looked at it? What did you guys lose? I thought it was like 103 billion. Anyways, this thing is updated again. It's gone to 121 billion. I linked it out there in the Twitch chat. This was a big fight. Again, the thing that made it not into a turkey shoot when we actually got to the Ritaru. Was the fact that they were having to bounce around. But what I will say is this: like I'm sitting there talking, like just saying in Discord, Jin, stop, because it was such a fucking turkey shoot. I'm like, Jin, stop, please. Whoever's paying you to like continue to subject your pilots to this, please stop. But what he came back with is the only thing that fucking matters is the objective, and I couldn't argue with that. It's like, you know what? The objective is all that fucking matters, and they were like Suicide Squad out there, man. But they did it. They achieved the objective. The shit was gone.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, our pilots were happy to have something they could chalk up as a victory. They enjoyed that, and that's a kind of a weird thing to say because normally when we fight PL, people are fucking mad. People are sad because it kind of sucks ass to fight PL because you guys are fucking good at the game.
Well, they are. I just flatter
Yeah.
them, but
You have good leadership. You have good, money.
no, they do. They do.
Yeah.
They've got good planning. They've got good FCs. They've got good fucking spies. They've got all that fucking shit. All working in their favor, and it's it's multi-layered and in that regard. But here in this particular case, and it's what goes to show, right, that if you don't give a shit and you're just willing to lay it down and kill something, yeah, you can kill that thing with Serbs. I mean,
I will say though, we probably can't afford too many more of those kind of victories.
no.
That's
Well, they are kind of Pyrrhic in that regard.
yeah,
But you know what?
It was-
Hey, The next time you see a neutral, Rotaro going up in there, you'll be like, maybe we'll bring a different doctrine. Actually, you know what?
Yeah, we
that
will,
would not
because
have
you guys
been as
fucking-
bad had you not brought, I think, the Macarials at first, because I don't know that you really killed enough with those Macarials to be able to, kind of justify the whole thing.
Definitely not. But we're trying to, we're trying to build up a Macarial doctrine. So you've got to take some hits like that. You've got to sit there and accept that you're not going to have
take
the
it
same
against
numbers
Test
as
or
PL.
something.
Well, the problem is that we can't get involved in tests because they're embroiled in a war, and we're historically neutral towards any form of nullsec conflict. Like, I'm currently not even allowed to see the conflicts in the south. That's why I went on CO2 fleet in a dread, just as a fucking retarded form of protest.
All right, but we are going to skip on here because again, oh my God, look at it. It's fucking 30 minutes into the show already. Do not feed the PL, as Wolf Glenn there says. I am going to link something in here real quick. If anybody has something to say that is highly prescient or anything like that, please feel free. This is about an article that came out on PC Games N, which I'm not sure what the fucking N means. Are these guys actual? No, it's whatever. Anyways, CCP wants Valkyrie and EVE Online to overlap more. We'll discuss with the community how to do it. They mention in here talking to the community out at EVE Vegas about this. I had a really big Dusk 514 fucking flashback on how games can overlap with one another and where the EVE community of spaceship dwellers is on kind of stuff like this. And I just sit there and say, they really need to come hard with how they would want something like this to overlap, or it's just going to turn into the same thing.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, moving on.
Yeah,
moving on
like-
to
I
the next.
mean, I don't know. Like, Valkyrie's fine as a standalone game, but it's even better when like you know the lore behind Eve. Like, I don't know how they could overlap really though.
It's not, and Z-Master, it's not a matter of Dust being on the PS3 and therefore it was doomed from the start. I'm more talking about the tie-in with EVE Online, the core game, right? That there was a lot of issues raised at that time about allowing an outside game to have an influence on something going on in EVE Online. And that's where they will run into trouble unless they bring something that is really cool and creative and something where kind of both sides can influence one another at the same time.
Right. The idea of it was a lot better on paper and sounded cooler than what actually came into what was actually implemented when it came to that, because it was kind of like, okay, so you have to go through a shit ton of work and go through a lot of trouble to get this destroyer over this planet, have a bunch of issues possibly, and then hope that someone gets a kill streak to shoot a laser at a planet for a second. You don't really see anything out of it. And the people in the Dust game are like, okay, cool, that airstrike or the orbital strike is a little bit bigger than the normal one. It was kind of like a lot of hype and not a lot of delivery. But on top of that, as far as like the interacting between the two games in the EVE universe, like there was a people on both sides of the fence. Some people loved it. They're like, cool, like we love the fact that this other thing is going to help us. So like the struggles that other people are having over here in this other universe, well, not other universe, but like other game, could affect what we're doing over here, and vice versa. And they loved that. But then there was also the people that were like, I don't want my ability in this game to get hampered by something that's out of my control, by people that are playing on a first-person shooter over here. Like, I could be doing really well. My faction warfare group could be doing really well, and we're gonna get a negative because some people on the FPS are better than our guys.
Because a bunch of
FPS.
console players are fucking with us?
Yeah, so it's
I mean,
it was a double-edged sword. I liked the idea, but there was also people that hated it, and it's understandable why they hated it.
No, and Z-Master says you guys are talking about two different things, Dust Mechanics and Valkyrie. Just look at Elite Dangerous and Multi-Crew. You can send other players to pilot your fighters. Okay, here's the thing. And this is one of the things that we've actually been saying since the concept of Valkyrie was even put out there, right? If what you could find is some way of being able to integrate players using consoles or whatever, okay, VR, not VR, now that we know about that and shit like that, to be able to pilot fighters. And you had enough of those people out there who could sit there and actually, be hired as mercs to be your fighter pilots from carriers and super carriers, that would be totally fucking cool. I think we're talking about a level of technology that is not actually what we're talking about in some sort of crossover. That might actually be really freaking interesting, but I don't think that we're anywhere near that. Would you agree, Jen?
Yeah, like what I'd really love to do with a connection is I'd like to start off really soft. Like the problem that I think 514 had was that it was kind of built around the idea of that link, and then the gameplay was sort of secondary to it. What I'd love is like maybe because they do events in Valkyrie right now. Can you imagine if you could pick a side in Eve, and then also pick a side in, and have people in Valkyrie also pick a side in like some sort of synced up event, and then at the end of it they tally up the results of both sides, and that affects the lore in some way. That'd be pretty dope, right? That's kind of the better way to do the link, I think.
It would be more simple. It wouldn't deal with things like sovereignty. It wouldn't deal with things like attacking structures or things like that. The really far end idea is that one of, well, geez, if they could pilot our fighters off of carriers and super carriers, might that not be cool? Yes, it would, but I think we're so far removed from that being a reality.
Yeah, the coding to go into the coding to go into that would be
over the horizon sort of concept, right? Like the concept of having like Dust 514 players in a troop transport approaching an enemy space station with Valkyrie players flying fighters, then Eve players flying subcaps, all in the same battle. That's the dream, but that's way down.
Aside from coding issues, because coding, that would be a freaking nightmare, trying to get it to be like cross-platform like that. But also, again, you just have this thing where it's like you have these carrier pilots that are normally used to being in control of everything that their ship can do, and all of a sudden they have they can launch their fighters and they have no control after that, like what their guys do. And so it's like, if my fighters suck, I'm a useless carrier. And also it's like, okay, time to pull out. Everyone's like, and the FC's like, pull in your fighters. And it's like, okay, guys, come back. And you got that one fucking Maverick fighter that's like, no, I got this. I can get him. I can get him. It's like, no, get back here. No, I got this.
Target.
And then you got to abandon a fighter, and there goes millions of ISK out the door because you
can't abandon him. You can't abandon him because he's another fucking player.
Off his targeting machine, just fucking flying down the trench. Yeah, you got that guy.
I mean, that would be hilarious. I would love to see it, but I can tell you right now, if that actual system was implemented, I think the vast majority of people would actually hate it.
This was a really short article that included nobody speaking on CCP's behalf other than somebody from Valkyrie. And look, I think that this might be something that they actually want to talk about, that this is something that maybe they've got some sort of vague idea for some low-level connection other than just kind of the Eve name and things like that. But yeah, this is a dream that exists, and it has existed since that whole, well, not just Dust 514, but later, people thought it was going to be an even bigger dream in terms of Eve Legion or Eve Legion,
Eve Forever,
or whatever. The one login where you'd be able to log in to all these different things, and they would be connected. You had the ground game in terms of Eve Legion, or what was going to become Eve Legion, and then you had the air game in terms of Valkyrie, and then of course you had Eve Core.
Which was the Navy.
Yeah, but this shit didn't pan out. So this was, it was a short article. It came out, saw it like yesterday or today or whatever, and but whatever. Okay, moving on. Just real quick on this, I'll link it in channel. The monthly economic report came out. Hey, guess what? Mining and ratting bounties went down in Delve while they were deployed into the north during the month of July. I'm sorry, during the month of August. No surprise there. There's really no surprise in this monthly economic report at all. Overall, things kind of went down. You had a bunch of disruptions that were going out, in the south. Things in like Faithopolis and Impasse and whatnot were down as well. But really, the big giant numbers was, hey, guess what? The Imperium wasn't, ratting and mining as much in Delve. Basically, their numbers while at war deployed were still higher than any other region in the game. Shocker.
Well, that's not true. 2.6 trillion ISK in NPC bounties in Delve. 2.9 trillion ISK in Branch.
I'm sorry.
Somebody's ratting more than us, for sure.
That's right. But but I think you guys still outmined everybody. So, but whatever.
This is true.
I mean, look, it was significant declines in what the output of both Delve and Aquarius, for that section of Aquarius that they're in, were. Whatever. But there really is nothing shocking about this monthly economic report. I think it showed everybody exactly what they thought they would see. I haven't heard anything different about that, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it and waste time when we could be talking about the fucking minutes.
Yeah, boy.
Any
The
disagreements?
CSM
Okay.
doing things.
All right, so I guess the first thing we should note right off the bat, and let's see here. I can't really see what's going on out there in Twitch chat land because I've got this on my fucking main monitor.
I linked the minutes in Twitch chat too. So.
Okay, cool. But yeah, I just can't see the chat right now because I'm looking at this. Okay, the first thing we should announce is that Sort Dragon has accepted his runner-up position on CSM 12. And so he will be the replacement for Vince Draken, who was removed from the CSM due to inactivity. And then deep down, if we don't ever get to it again tonight because we don't get through the minutes all the way or some shit like that, the CSM has decided to change the way they select somebody after somebody got renewed or after somebody got removed, and that method, if Sort Dragon ever comes up number 11 again, would make Sort Dragon not number 11 anymore.
It was worth noting that we did say, hey, it's probably not fair to change the fucking entire method of stuff, like, as we know Sort Dragon is the next in line, because that's kind of fucking bullshit. So that was after we.
That would totally be some serious bullshit. I mean, like,
that
you'd even get
like
people who it's like
political maneuvering.
Yeah, exactly. That would be really fucking bad. It'd be like changing the electoral college after everybody found out that oh shit, Hillary didn't win.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're gonna try and quick go through these. I went through all 40 some odd pages today in a quick cursory thing. I'm really upset that CCP waited until Friday to put this out in the middle of a hurricane. But we know how that kind of news goes. So I'm gonna start off here with. What is this? Well, it's actually the first one, Eve Production. The thing that jumped. Really, honestly, this is usually one of the boring minutes ones because this is where they're talking to Seagull. They're really talking about kind of like an overall big scope of things. They ask people what their, what is it you came to the CSM summit for? What's your really big thing that you're thinking about? Who gives a shit? Whatever.
They're all vague things like PvP.
It's all vague. It's really, really is. I mean, a lot of this stuff in here is kind of, it's kind of vague in a lot of ways. But let's hear. CCP Vertex asked the CSM what they heard and what sort of sentiment they saw with regard to the removal of captain's quarters, to which they replied they had not seen many people making complaints.
Because no one uses it.
Like we've seen, to be fair, honest, that's not an entirely accurate kind of summation of our response. Like, we did see complaints. It's just that we didn't really think those complaints were as we're taking into account the amount of time and effort that CCP was having to put into taking something that was used by so few people.
I don't see anyone quitting the game because the captain's quarters are removed. I think I would be surprised.
No, you don't see that?
I don't. If even just one single person quit this game because the captain's quarters gets removed, I would be shocked.
I will expect at least 5 people will quit the game. That's my estimate.
This goes on to say that there was some discussion concerning that now the characters themselves are less visible. CCP Vertex brought up that they would like to use the characters more in game, such as allowing people to place holographic statues in space.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, really? People are gonna spam the shit. Like, you're gonna just see aisles.
I'm so gonna create Robert E. Lee as a as a character in game, and then create a statue to him.
I'm just saying, you're gonna see some weird monument temple thing built in Goon Space where it's just lined with Mittani statues, kind of like some Pantheon Greek building or something.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of cool?
As long as they are destructible, I don't give a shit what people build. As long as somebody else can find a way of committing to blowing it up.
Imagine if you take a Rome there in your little frigates or something, and you fucking vandalize the statues of Mittani. That's
or
awesome.
vandalize it.
That's
Oh my
fucking
god,
dope.
that's what we would need. Like, you wouldn't even need to destroy it, but can
That'd
you
be pure
vandalize it?
content creation too. Like you're not gonna, you're gonna go shoot some statue of somebody you don't like. That's what it's gonna be.
Although the thing
Like
is, like,
100%. Like tell me I'm wrong. Like there's no way I'm gonna like, oh yeah, faction warfare space. Let me defend this plex or this. No, I'm gonna defend a statue of my stupid ass character because that's how greedy I am or selfish I
I
am.
would totally like. Can you imagine if you could put graffiti on stuff? You entosis
Yeah.
it, and then you get to put like a message. So I could like run a fleet of like fucking I don't know frigates down to fucking 1DQ and write death to tyrants on a big gold Matani statue. That'd be great.
Yeah,
Fucking
that-
awesome.
I mean, Rodin has a point. Like, can I draw a dick over it? You're gonna have people, if you're allowed to put these statues up, and depending on the distance, you're gonna have penis-shaped statue alignments in space.
Well, people do it with
Just
bubbles, so
Cover
yeah.
me in dick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
okay.
But I mean, like, the thing is, like, bubbles kind of make this weird. Like, it's like you got to really zoom out to get the full appreciation of what they've built. Whereas, like, the statues is just gonna be like, you jump into a system, it's like, oh.
I mean, you could
Okay.
also just like.
I'm in
you
the
know,
It has to
say-
be like that big
I'm in the
Jesus one
Pen
down in
15
Rio
system.
de Janeiro, though.
You could also just say, hey, you can only anchor one statue every 10,000 kilometers, or you can only anchor one statue per system.
But it should be so big that you can see it from everywhere, and it should be able
What-
to be destroyed in
Instead of
your
like a
face.
full body statue, what if it's just like the face?
Is the
No,
Matani's
no,
eyes?
no, it would have
Oh,
to,
like
it'd
a
have to be
bust?
full body.
It would have
So
to
you
be
can,
full body
like-
because if you got the face,
Why
you have
full
the avatar.
body?
Well, because the thing is, like, they're talking about adding character imagery that because they got rid of the captain's quarters, which is where you can see your full body. Like, if you just have the face,
Yeah.
like when you're in local, if
Gotta
you're
have
like
legs.
if you're like me and have actually like the big chat, you don't have like the list chat of people in system. You
Oh,
have
yeah,
like the
yeah.
actual, because I like to see what pictures of people are in there.
Oh, I never do the pictures. No.
I
But
always-
anyways,
I always
anyways,
do
anyways,
pictures.
that was the thing. Let's move on to more serious business here. One of the things that we didn't get a chance because we were way too fucking drunk last week to talk about was the expansion and this whole thing with resource wars. Okay, now we'll bring it up now as a part of the minutes. Simply because they've also had a dev blog since last week related to this. This is a high-tech only thing, correct? It's not in low sec as well. I don't think.
Sorry, what page you on?
Updates with Team Genesis, but it's related to the Resource Wars
Page 7.
PVE thing. But anyways, this would be a new PVE activity. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Okay.
You basically go into sites and try to gather resources for your faction instead of,
So-
and the NPCs are going to try to do the same.
Correct.
Shout out to the guy calling the CSM a waste of space in chat. Yeah, me too. Thanks.
It's basically a new PVE experience. It's going to be it can be group oriented. It's something you can kind of like group up to do. However, they're not going to be big groups, although they don't talk about exactly what the size of these things are going to be. Aerith asked how they would limit the number of players in the site, to which CCP replied the gates would have limits and the sites would have a timer that would not be long enough to slow boat to the site. So, because one of my original concerns when I heard about this was, oh man, this is gonna be a fucking gankathon. This is just gonna be people out there waiting for people to come in there to do this thing, and then when they get aggroed from the NPCs, get ganked. But it seems like they're limiting that based on the number of people that can actually go through the acceleration gates on this thing, as well as the amount of time that this thing actually exists for. So I think that's good. But basically, it's going to be you can go in there as a miner, you can go in there as a with a mining type fit, a PvP type fit. Who knows? Maybe you got combat skiff or whatever, and your goal is to basically mine or help the NPC miners that are there load up freighters for the particular faction that you're doing it for, and while at the same time warding off baddies like NPC baddies.
It's kind of like a more structured PvE event. It's also kind of a little bit safer, but it's not like instance PvE safe. You can still get wrecked in the site, you can still get AWOT, you can still get caught on the way out. Once the site pops, you can combat probe on people. There's a lot there.
Yeah, I mean, Aerith brought up concerns that it would be too safe from gankers in the site, to which CCP replied that there are still opportunities for people to gank those ships. Look, I think that there will be opportunities. I mean, unless you bring enough people, in order to do this thing, and then therefore fill up the site. Obviously, there will be opportunities for gankers to get in there and things like that. But these sites will also be. They're going to go from a level 1 to a level 5, right? So the size of the ship that you can bring into any of these things will vary depending on the level of these sites. So that means that, look, if you're going in there to be able to tank some of these NPCs that will be in the various different levels with the type of ship you have, it's not going to be a fleet of 20 Talwars, coming at you to quick gank you or some shit.
Shots? It's been a bit.
Okay, well, somebody talk while I pour.
Oh. See, this is when I was reading about this thing, this is actually a part I did.
Especially maybe the CSM guy.
Well, okay, well, he should, because I'd never even heard about the resource wars before this.
Because you don't watch the show.
No, it was
I don't watch
announced
the show, but
super recently though. But it's a way of, I think that's kind of what they wanted to do with like Empire Space, but it's a way to help push new players and then as well as old players to be doing something. But it gives newbies a pretty good opportunity to get into like engageable PvE, social PvE, from everything I've been reading about it. But it sounds really interesting. Like Jin was saying, you can still gank in it, you can still, like what people like to do, grief or scam or whatever, but it also sounds like it's a good opportunity for players to do more than just, hey, are you on this mission, or hey, can I mine this asteroid too? So it sounds pretty open for players.
The real hang up for me is going to be how they if they iterate on some more of like a fleet finder situation, some way to have like a an LFG button or something like that, or iterate with the fleet finder to some degree, so that you can say, hey, I need 2 tanks and a healer, or I need 2 miners to go along with my attack fleet, something like that. It would be really nice to give kind of public players that aren't part of an established group a better way to link up. That's kind of one of the reasons why the CSM push one of the reasons why we push this whole let's bring in some fucking social PvE in the first.
Now, the things that you will actually earn from this, ISK, LP, standings, apparently there will also be some of these, freaking crates or whatever that have got shit in it, including Resource Wars skins.
Oh, the skins look so good, by the way. Holy shit, they're some of the best skins I've
ever seen. Are those the Mars skins they put a tweet out with?
Is it the Mar and Galente ones in the video? I thought they had the video about Resource
No,
Wars.
there's new ones. Was it
okay.
Was it the white and gold skins for the Amar?
No. The ones that have like the purple fronts and then like
no, those
they got purple. Thank God they finally have purple.
Still not as good as the Purity of the Throne skins. Just gonna say.
These skins for Resource Wars make the Purity of the Throne ones look like bitch made material. They look so good. They're so good.
Those are tough words.
I don't know why people are like surprised. I fucking live the week after. The day after is hard, but the fucking week after, I'm like all back on the ball and shit. Anyways, let's see here. CCP Affinity then also invited further suggestion for items to go into the crates, with the CSM suggesting various items such as skill books and boosters. I'm only bringing this up from the standpoint of the judge stated.
It's not random loot. Just getting it out there. The loot
it doesn't look like it does not look like random loot. The judge stated that implants shouldn't be used, as they currently cause players to become risk averse with losing their pot. The CSM also touched on learning implants specifically not being given out, as they are the biggest offenders in making players risk averse. I bring that up only because it is a constant topic that gets brought up about how implants really of any sort, but certainly the learning implants, cause players to be risk averse, because a lot of them are really trying to like skill up and get the whole training thing. This is incredibly something that CCP needs to revisit, just in terms of an overall ecology of EVE, kind of the mentality of EVE, really, that there are people out there that, depending on what setup they're in terms of their clone, even though they've made it easier to clone jump and all that kind of shit,
we've asked to remove attributes and learning implants pretty much ever since this version of the CSM. So the first summit, I think we heavily discussed removing attributes and removing attribute remaps and removing learning implants from the game.
Yeah.
And finding some way of compensating the LP stores through like giving them accelerators or something that would do the same role. That way, even if you die, you still have the accelerator working on you. You know, you don't die. The only problem there is that it harms like kind of AFK skilling. But I don't think that's a huge downside. You know, as long as you get 30-day ones, I don't have a problem. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that, I think it's something that they need to, seriously consider. This has been something that's been going on for a number of years now. That this has been kicked up there as being, an impediment to people saying, "Fuck it, I'm going to engage." Nope, I won't. I'm sitting in, 100 million ISK worth of fucking standards, let alone, let alone anything even more than that.
Yeah.
Because people are trying to acquire those skill points that will advance them in game, and they have to think about what it is they're sitting in. Do I run away and hide, or do I actually engage?
Well,
I mean, a lot of times people with those skill implants don't actually undock. Like, I remember I would leave a character in Jita to do any sort of shopping, and then I would plug in implants to help my training. And so if I was like, oh, I'm gone for a week, jump into that character, do absolutely nothing with it, and then jump out when I got back if I wanted to go PvP. A lot of people don't even undock, let alone consider the fact that, like, oh, am I going to take this fight because I have those in? It's just
right.
don't
but
undock.
The thing is, like, there's a lot of people that they want that bonus all the time, and so they aren't willing to leave that clone to take the negative hit on their training time to go do some PvP. They'll just be like, I don't have to PvP. I would rather just always be training at a higher velocity. And then they just don't fight. Because, like, when I first saw the thing, I was like, oh, they, offering, like, boosters and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, that's good. And I was like, why not implants? And then I started reading further. I'm like, and they gave the reason why that, like, implants for the whole risk averse thing. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like, because people do that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, after, like, they said that, I was like, yeah, definitely. People totally plug in implants, and they're like, well, I'm not undocking in this guy, and they don't want to jump clone out of it to go PvP.
Yeah, I will say though, Boots, if you have any suggestions for things new players could need that aren't installed in that package, please come and talk to us. We'd absolutely love it. Something we talked about were like skill plans. We'd love to have a way that you can have, like, I don't know, some book or something you could give a new player. Say, hey, right-click this puts this into your skill cube. So, here's, like, puts all the frigates in, puts all the guns in, puts some basic support skills. So you can give people, like, here's a 7-day plan for you to deal with. It will just get you into pretty much anything. We'd be happy to let CCP make them to make sure that they aren't used or something like that. There's a lot of little new player stuff we can do.
Along that line, why not a whole package? Why not a ship with the fittings, with the skills with it, with the skill plan to go with it?
Yeah, that would be great.
All in a container. Here you go.
And that's what we should give to new players after we tax the rich.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, we need to redistribute the wealth.
We need to redistribute the wealth. We do.
Swear to God,
dude, I'm not even fucking joking. And you know what? That's it's actually a fucking discussion for another time. But we're actually gonna move on to the low sec and faction warfare part of the discussion, which I'm going to be completely honest. To get an incredible amount of insight into low sec or faction warfare because none of us fucking live there or
excuse me.
Hello?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Amamake, excuse me, Dirk. Not all of
It's
us
flyover
are some
country.
null-sec, blocks-off babby.
Nope.
Some of us know how to actually fly our own shit
Blocks-off
in
babby.
low-sec, and some of us actually fly alpha characters in low-sec. Okay, sorry. But yeah, no, I live there. I mean...
So tell me what you thought about the low sec and faction warfare discussion of the minutes.
So I thought CSM definitely brought up some points. It needs revamping. They need to do something with it. Obviously, we can't see all
Do you
the
have anything
discussion.
specific related to the minutes, or?
Well, that was kind of summarizing the minutes. CCP asked what needs to be done, what needs to be looked over, etc., what needs to be changed. Like, the biggest one is, like, I live in Amar Mimitar faction warfare. Mimitar is just stomping all over Amar, but there's no motivation for people to join Amar. It's, hey, go join Mimitar, just go, like AFK Plex, and then collect the loot, or not the loot, collect the LP, and then you can sell it for money.
It really is kind of a hard
know-
thing for them to kind of, like, make changes to, though, right? Like, you can't reward the side that's losing, right?
Well, you can reward them for taking action if they're losing. I know also a lot of my friends talk about just doing, like, I think they usually have 2 or 3 polars and they just do level 4s, level 5s, and low. some dead-end system with carriers or supers, and it's super easy for them to get a shit ton of money, and they barely have to pay attention to keeping themselves safe. And like, this isn't like super secret OPSEC, like how to make money in low sec. This is common knowledge and people share it, and there's like this whole strategy to it. I don't know if you recognized, I think there was somewhere in the patches where they were taking out the level 5 of a system and making it level 4s, and that was because it was so broken and so easy for people to make money off of.
What, like High Sarah is a good example of that.
Yeah.
It's a system where you can only get a mission in like one system or something like that.
Well, well, isn't like once the team is once a certain faction is on top for so long, doesn't the market get flooded with all the stuff from their LP store and then the price goes down?
Well, the problem is that you still have basic stuff like learning implants and faction ammo that just doesn't ever depreciate costs.
CCP is having a really difficult time rewarding people for participation. And I know there are a lot of people out there that want trophies for that, but winning actually fucking matters more in a game.
You don't say.
Yeah, no, saying. I mean, so faction warfare obviously needs work. It's just, what exactly can they fix to make it a more ideal? And how does CCP find the resources to do that? Because obviously they're having the new moon mining changes, they're having these resource wars, so it's where do they get the bandwidth from developers to make these changes to help improve faction warfare?
Yeah,
or at least,
I'm not
or maybe
the
low
fucking
sec in general.
programming bandwidth. I think it's the care bandwidth. The care bandwidth is has been from the very fucking beginning low on low sec. Low sec.
No,
and
I mean, I live in faction
it's
warfare
literally
low
freaking
sec.
flyover country. It's like people don't care about it until they all rise up and.
Yeah, and I mean, I live in faction warfare low sec, and non-faction warfare low sec, it's like more dead or like less content or not as exciting for people to live in. Like, what's gonna motivate somebody to go there instead of even if you think of like exploration, like, oh, high sec exploration sucks. Well, low sec exploration sucks too. So go to null sec, go to wormhole space. So it's like one of those things is, how do you motivate the average player to go there for people who say aren't in faction warfare or who don't really want to live in nullsec because they don't want to deal with the logistics of moving stuff out there.
Well, and I'm wondering because I know we've talked about the whole moon mining stuff in lowsec, is that like right now a lot of those lowsec systems that aren't faction warfare, like their value is the moons that are there, but that the people only have to come there every once a week or however often just to refuel, pick up the product, recycle stuff. But once the new moon stuff comes into effect, are people actually going to be out there mining the moon stuff? I mean, people will do it, but it's going to be so risky.
You have to.
Well, my understanding is that all of the moons in lowsec are going to be mined by goons or the Imperium, but defended by Snuff.
Yeah, they're coming out with a whole new
that was the
system. There's this new idea called the Viceroy system that they want to implement.
Are we bringing that back?
Is the Viceroy system coming back?
Yeah, no,
Viceroy 2.0.
Are they going to Viceroy moons?
Yeah, well, we're just going to Viceroy.
Are they going to walk up to a moon and go, fuck it, you're mine?
Yeah, but I'm just wondering because it's like, people are going to want those valuable moons in low sec, but it's like mining them is going to be really super dangerous. So it's like, are they just going to give up those moons? But someone's going to go out and mine them, and so that might
cause
cause
an actual reason to live in your space, which is kind of nice, but it's also just kind of removing a lot of.
But the thing is, like, the people that are going to be out there mining that moon stuff, the valuable moon stuff, people are going to come and try to fight those fleets. So will that cause more content in low sec, or are people just say, fuck it,
no,
that moon's not worth it, and then you're just going to have this completely dead system?
As of October 24th, low sec's going to literally fucking die. But I do want to move on here to what I think is one of my first funny quotes of the night. It's funny, but it's not funny.
An hour in.
Steve.
First funny quote.
Sorry, well, hold on. First funny quote from the minutes. Steve brought up the idea of adding a new site where you have to pay to use the acceleration gate. And if you kill someone in the site, you get the money they paid. Now, this actually goes on. CCP Rise added that they had been throwing around an idea internally in the same vein to allow players to bet on the result of a duel.
I would love that.
We get back to the whole thing of a couple of years ago now, at least at this point, dojos, the whole idea of kind of like, organized fights and, and shit like that. Can we have a legit Thunderdome where people sit there and go, fuck it, I'll fight you and let other people bet on it? All of a sudden, CCP talking about betting again.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys know, but I feel like faction warfare, compared to, say, nullsec or wormhole space or high. I don't know if you include high sec in there, but I think faction warfare, at least for low sec, the faction warfare space, a lot of people will gladly do honor brawls. Like they will gladly honor 1v1. They still blob. There are still plenty of people who blob, use links, have like Logi alts or Griffin alts. But I have gotten so many good 1v1s, or sometimes like there'll be smack talking local and it's like, oh mate, go 1v1 him, and then other people will like warp to the sun and they'll lock both people up, but they won't blob or anything, or like kill on whore on the kill or anything like that. So I think that would be legitimate. Like I would think that'd be just like absolutely amazing if CCP could somehow pull that off, of like an arena where you get to bet on it, or you get to watch like two people brawl it out or whatever.
I
The other
agree.
thing that
I agree.
now,
We talked years ago about like like brawling for pinks.
Yeah, Urziel just resubbed 2 months. Thanks, man. And also Machiavelli. Oh man, I like that name. Can you all do a shot for us in Florida? Yeah. Well, I just threw a shot back.
If you're, no, I'm not doing a shot for people in Florida unless you're like literally in the northern part of Florida, like almost in Georgia.
You can't. No,
where
you
can, like,
say that,
where
Derby.
you can go. Fuck this shit. I'm going to
you
Tennessee.
You can't evacuate all of southern Florida. That's like what, like 8 to 10 million
You
people. You
can,
need to move.
you
You can't
can,
move 10
and you
million
should.
people in a couple days. It's
Get
impossible.
the fuck out.
Now
I evacuated the drone regions. They can get out of
if
Florida.
anyone's in the Florida Keys, you're dumb. If anyone's still in the Florida Keys, you're dumb.
Fuck it, I'll do a shot.
but you can't,
I'll do a
like-
shot. You know what? Keep your head high. Well, actually, you know what?
I just did a
don't
shot.
know.
Well, I'll say that
Keep-
one's for Florida. But like, if
Keep
you're in
your ass
Miami or
low,
South
keep
Beach,
your head
it's like
high and fucking hide.
if you're in Miami or South Beach, try to get out if you can. But at the same time, it's like you can't evacuate a metropolitan that size. That's like the 5th largest metropolitan in the U.S. You can't just evacuate it in a day or two.
When the zombies come, people are gonna have to get out or get eaten. It's like just
And
think of a
even
fucking
in a
hurricane as
zombie
freaking
apocalypse, like-
zombie tornado.
Even in a zombie apocalypse like that, half the city is not going to be able to get out, even if all of them want to. There's just too many people. The roads can't handle that much traffic in that short a time.
But moving on, because I got to keep it fucking back on track here.
Right.
You
in order to get the
again,
zombies.
I think people have been talking for a number of years related to related to being able to have kind of a Thunderdome type situation and stuff like that. I think it is. It's a really good idea. It was a really good idea when they actually built the goddamn thing and introduced it. But I'm trying to think of the name of the dev who built it on his way out the door and like put it out there.
Oh, dojos.
The dojos.
Yeah,
But
I
whatever.
don't think dojos will ever come into game. Like
It's
that's
not
just-
about the dojos. It's about the idea of combat to where it's like, you know what?
Yeah,
We
well,
want to be able to see people just be able to throw some combat out there that's organized, has a certain set of rules to it.
CCP Veritas.
Veritas.
Yeah,
yes.
the problem with dojos, I think.
Oh my
to a
God,
degree,
CCP
was-
Rise is here.
He is.
Oh, hey, Rise. Yeah, the problem with dojos for me was that it was all virtual. That you could have all of the fun of EVE without ever having to risk anything. Which
Yeah,
just
Yeah, but
seemed
I
really
want
bullshit.
people to have to risk something.
Yeah, like
Of course they
I'm
got to. Yeah, of
more-
course you got to buy. You got to do a buy-in. You got to have the ship that you got there. Whatever. Nobody's sitting there and saying that this is
Well, the
that this is some
combatants
sort
don't-
of like singularity or shit like that, right?
Because
There's
the
loss
combatants don't
involved.
necessarily have to like do any betting. They just have to go into the fight. Now maybe they get a percentage of any if they win the fight. Maybe they get
No,
a percentage of the gambling bets that were placed on them. Like 5%.
Hey, I'm not the one that said this. CCP Rise added that they had been throwing around an idea internally in
Right.
the same vein to
Well-
allow players to bet on the result of a duel. Now, I understand if a guy in a freaking Avatar wants to duel a guy in a Ishtar, it's like whatever. Okay, but I'm talking about like something that might actually have some more legit rules to it, right? I mean, some class sizes.
Well, I
it-
think
it
it's
might
gotta
even
be one of those like don't talk about Fight Club, where like the people who
Well-
participate and do this stuff like aren't gonna really like.
So you want to have
you-
like
you know-
secret Fight Club?
No,
No,
it's
no,
not
it
gonna be a
should be
secret
public.
fight, but like like how the rules of engagement. So like in Eve, it's like sandbox, everything goes. There's a lot of stuff that like I know for at least me when I fight in faction warfare space, there's a lot of stuff I've noticed people do or they don't do. So like if you are honor brawl 1v1ing someone and somebody else warps in and tries to shoot you both, if you both don't know them, usually you both turn and shoot them.
Look at
And I've
CCP
had
Rise going,
plenty of
Eve
fights like
Online
that.
Onion, Eve Onion News. I love your work. How can I help?
Yeah, because Ivan used to say I need
He's
some
like,
content.
he's like,
Provide
I
me
can
some
give
satire.
you so much satire every night.
I like the fact that now here's the thing, because like when people duel, like I see people duel on Jeet all the time, and then someone like starts losing, they just like they deaggress and dock up and shit like that. It's like, I would like to see if it's one of these duels that other people on the outside have placed ISK bets on and stuff. It's like, you know what, the coding of this, I'm not a coder. I'm sure it'd be a hassle for the people that try to code something like this, but it should place like a mini boundary system, almost like the Alliance tournament, to where it's like, you are locked in this duel to the death now. You cannot dock in any structures. You cannot jump through any stargates. And if you violate these boundaries, you just instantly explode and lose the fight. So it's like, once you accept
How
that
about, like,
duel and
first
people have
person-
bet, then you're
First
locked
person
into
who
it.
warps off. No, first person who warps off loses. So it's like you get that dishonor.
No,
Oh,
no.
please don't.
Well,
Please
if
don't
you
say Dishonor.
or
I'm thinking of this. I'm having flashbacks to World of Warcraft and Dishonor points.
No, like
stop it.
so I don't know. I mean, I have like my whole YouTube is filled of like 100 videos of me 1v1ing people, and there's been times where like people will warp in, see me 1v1, they're like, oh, you're fighting. They'll warp off, or like I'll be
watch.
1v1ing someone, and then somebody else will come in and like kill one of us, and like we just aren't able to fight him off, and then other people will come in and kill him because they're like, oh, fuck you. Like, I don't know, like, I built my whole reputation for the past 2 years in-game around, like, low sec solo PvPing and frigates. So, like,
Which is also hilarious fun, by the way.
Yeah, it's an absolute blast. And once you get, like, a group of people with, like, the same mentality about it, like, it's amazing, like, how much, like, sort of unspoken rules or whatever, but beyond the
Right.
betting or beyond the, like, normal
But I'm
rules
just
of
saying, like,
engagement.
that's like, honor duels, but like when it comes down to like, say it's like, okay, this is gonna be a duel where people can place bets. It's like, this is no longer an honor duel. This is a contractual engagement where it's like you are basically signing a contract that you are gonna fight to the death, and because dozens of people, maybe more, have put X number of millions or even billions of ISK on the fight.
If you run off, you
Can't run up. It's like, right, if you run up, but here's the thing. Obviously, you can write some code thing where if someone warps off, they instantly
we're getting
lose.
way too deep into the idea of 1v1
I'm
competition.
loving hashing this
Yeah.
out, though. Like,
No,
honestly.
and we can do that, and we've actually done this on multiple occasions over the freaking years, but it always ends up in the same place, is that, nope, we don't have it. Okay.
Rodin
It
has a
would be
good point,
kinda
though.
cool. It would be kind of cool to
We should
have.
probably move on anyway before we spend.
Yeah.
I'm just
we've
saying,
got a
Rodin
whole
has,
bunch of,
Exactly.
like,
Rodin has a
You
good
just
point.
want 1v1.
It could be riggable.
CCP guard,
People could rig
it
fights.
doesn't matter if it's 1v1 or 2v2 or fucking like the Alliance tournament, right? I mean, people like that kind of action. They like watching it. They like betting on it. They like that sort of thing. They like vicariously living through the skills of other people.
Because it's
But-
elite.
CCP guard then asked what the this is actually a really important question for you people in LowSec. CCP guard then asked what the CSM sees as a perfect LowSec. Aerith stated that he sees it as nullsec with training wheels, so without the need to build infrastructure and services. Yukiko added he sees it as a PvP area without the need for looking after stuff. So kind of the same thing that Aerith said. Jin Tan reiterated that there are people who are worried that they will lose strategic content. I don't know that he fucking answered CCP Guard's question. The CSM also brought up that LowSec has some unique PvE, namely level 5s. I really hope there was more fucking conversation to CCP Guard's question of what do they see as the perfect LowSec?
No, there wasn't really. It was kind of like an offhand statement, and Aerith and Yukiko kind of talked about the main things. Like, LowSec is, to my mind, a kind of a PvP place where you don't have to be beholden to the greater political metagame, but you have the ability to get involved in it if you want to. Like, it's a
Is that the
different
best we can
feel.
do? I mean, is that honestly the best we can do for fucking flyover space? Is that they are this sort of not quite this, not quite that, meh?
I mean, that's what LowSec's always been, and what it will probably
We know
always
what it's
be,
always
because-
been.
yeah.
That wasn't the question that CCP
Yeah,
Guard
what,
seemed
what,
to
do
ask
you, what do
there.
you want me to say? I want LowSec to be full of, gung-ho pirates who destroy all the
What's the
space
perfect
traffic.
LowSec? How would you actually adapt? If you look at HighSec for what it is, and you look at NullSec for what it is, how would you find a place for LowSec to be able to fit?
Well,
Would you,
I'd like
would you
LowSec
maybe
to have...
take some of what's in HighSec and say, wait a minute, this is too much for HighSec. It needs to have a little risk added to it. We'll push it out into LowSec. or would
Well,
you
I
maybe take
I
some of what's in
ultimately
low?
do think that,
Isn't
like,
that kind of what's
incursion should
already
never-
LoSec is? And that's
Yeah,
why it's
yeah,
kind of like this weird, awkward thing, is that it uses like standings like high sec and stuff. It has gate guns and station guns and stuff like that, but at the same time it doesn't have the safety, essentially like the safety that nullsec does, as far as like, you know, empires and it's I don't know how you fix LoSec.
Roden brings up a good point. LoSec is so inherently poorly thought of. Wait, hold on, now it scrolled up. Might as well throw away and restart. I mean, if you had to invent what that fucking middle ground was, and I don't want to get in, because this right now could literally be a fucking 2-hour show of talking about what that middle ground could be. I'm gonna tell you, it's really sad that during the LoSec conversation that this is what the fucking answer was.
I mean, you gotta understand that was like this was at the end of the meeting. It was like we had very little time. Like, we have an hour to talk about all of fucking LoSec.
Guard just tossed that in at the end going, hey, grenade, boom.
Also,
Yeah,
Dirk, you have to realize a lot of these conversations happen not in the meeting rooms, and that a lot of it isn't actually documented.
Yeah, but think about this LoSec meeting as a whole, though. And hi, Dirk. Like, we've been asking for the LoSec faction warfare meeting for like how many summits, and they finally gave us one, and it was just kind of like,
we
yeah,
still
this
had
is
to,
all great.
we still had to force this one through as well. Like, it was
Agreed.
hard.
We would love to do all this stuff for faction warfare and LoSec, but like it's not really in the cards right now.
Well, and this right now, because we know that there is still a lot of time left in there working on structures and nullsec and the other things that they're working on currently right now. But now is the time to be thinking about what some future development project is going to be for LoSec.
Yeah,
you
I
start
definitely
thinking
agree,
and
but the
talking
thing is
about
that
it now, so that eventually they can actually get to it before we're into like the 3rd decade of Eve.
Sure, but the question is it our role to come up with, like, the perfect LoSec is not something that we as people who don't really live in LoSec can discuss. Like, it's very difficult for us to lay that out.
What did LoSec entities say about it? Like, what does Shadow Cartel, Snuffed, Project Mayhem?
Snuff's like, fuck
Waffles.
it, we're going to Goons.
Yeah, but
I
I mean,
mean,
like, what did
I
they say about it?
I talked to Hai Wanto and Reza about this on the podcast, and at the end of the day, what those two seem to want, the very highest level of like LoSec content creators, you know, the people who have these huge alliances in LoSec, and what they wanted was they wanted it to be more nullsec from what they talked to us. They wanted to take some of the training wheels off. They wanted there to be a way to actively sort of own your space. They wanted to bring farms and fields, that kind of philosophy, to LoSec, and I disagree with that, and I don't know why.
I agree.
And I
with
don't
you.
thi- I
What,
don't
what
know
did
if
the
this is
faction
my
warfare
place to-
folks say? Like, what did
the faction warfare folks want
your
faction
CVA,
warfare to
right?
not be
Like
shit.
CVA, like Urshikan, the
Yeah, I know,
Galil guys.
I killed two Ushrakan today. It was great.
Yeah, but what do they want faction warfare to be? Like, Galente Kaldari space is like so active with
The thing
faction
is,
warfare
we're
nerds.
going to make the distinction here between faction warfare space and every other part of LoSec.
Yeah, so what do the faction warfare space nerds want then?
They want faction warfare to not be hilariously broken, and they would like it to be something that makes sense. And they'd like it to have kind of a little more love given to it. And I think that's ultimately a very, very fair thing to ask for, and it's something I really want to push for. I love faction warfare.
But
You've probably seen.
But
me in
let's
Space
go
Stuff.
back to another quote from the minutes. Jin Tan brought up that previously CCP had expressed interest in directing new players to faction warfare.
Yeah,
To which
this is
CCP replied that they had looked at it and found issues with the current system and decided that instead they should refocus their efforts on resource wars for now.
Yeah, like
I
okay,
mean,
so
this
real.
continued-
Hey,
this
don't
has
wanna
been
fuck up for a second.
backburnered
Shut
since
the
the
fuck up for-
invention of the
shut the
back
fuck up for
burner.
a second. Okay, that's a good point, but there was also something that you're missing there in terms of context here. Like, I very specifically asked for CCP Ghost, the leader of Team Genesis, to be involved in this meeting, because he'd been talking to us previously about this faction warfare stuff, and I really hoped he'd be able to come along and kind of listen to this discussion of what's wrong with faction warfare. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it, but he has listened to the recording, and we talked about some of the major pain points.
Did he
We talked
ski his
about the
hands
fact-
off again this year?
Pardon?
Did he
Oh, no,
ski his hands off again this year?
No, he hasn't. But you know, we talked about things like the fact that there's just no rollback in faction warfare in sight, That's such a small thing, and it's something that game design agrees is a problem. They just haven't been able to find the priority to code it. And that's something that I'd really love to try and get through at some point, is that just little fixes can make faction warfare so much more livable to the average player, and that would make it to the point where they can feel comfortable bringing new players in, you know, and that would be great for the game overall, I think, because, you know, I kill new players all the time in faction warfare, and I talk to them and they have a great time. You just got to explain to them what's going on, you give them some ISK, they go get a new ship, they're having a blast. They're experiencing what EVE is, and I wish more new players could do that rather than getting stuck in this high-sec loop, which I think Resource Wars is only going to make worse, to be perfectly honest. It's going to keep more people in the game, it's going to keep CCP's coffers full because it's probably going to be good for those players. It's going to be engaging content for them, but it's not going to get them into the deep end of EVE.
Well, I don't want to blame it on Resource Wars. Okay, I don't want to blame it on like the current PvE content that they're coming out with now, because this is an old story. This goes back forever with regard to LowSec. What was it? What was it intended to be? I mean, it's not that big, so we recognize that it literally is kind of the redheaded stepchild inner circle, or like, you know, middle circle of, you know, of EVE with regard to high sec and null sec. It's just this kind of like, it's the filling. It's, you know, it's that little piece.
There's a very interesting quote in chat there, which is that faction warfare is broken and awful and would require a full rework, and I strongly disagree with that. I don't think you need a full rework of F-War. You need to fix things. You need to take the structure that's there, which is fundamentally okay. Complex control is good. Having gameplay based around using different ship types is great. Having something that's very, very unique to low sec, but we don't have that in null sec. We don't have that in NPC null sec. We don't have that in high sec. It's something that you only see in low sec, and it gives faction warfare its own unique flavor. You know, you swap between ship types, you're trying out different comps, you've got to respond to what your enemies are doing, but you have a lot more limitations. That as an FC is great. You're using smaller gangs, you've got less roles to fill. It's super good. The problem is that you have to make the mechanics work with that, and right now I don't think they do as much as they could. You know, you've got problems like
Roden makes another point here. He says you could literally take away low sec and people would feel weird for like a week or two and then carry on. Now, I disagree with that from the standpoint of signing in your jump freighter that can then go to fucking high sec.
Well, and
but
also
everything else outside of that, probably, yeah.
Now, also,
really quick, live there, so no, I disagree.
New man.
There's not a lot of people. I don't think that. I don't think saying a lot in the grand scheme of EVE is actually true. I think there is a portion of people that we recognize have created a dynamic in low sec, but I think there's way more transiting of other things than there is that.
We got a new man came in a little bit ago. How's it going, new med?
They're pretty good. Just got off work.
Nice.
Yeah. Sorry about cutting you off there.
The thing with low sec that now this is coming from a null sec babby, as Rain was calling us. I don't know. It's like low sec is. I mean, it's obviously different for people that actually live there and do the faction warfare and all that stuff. But it's like it's seen as like this no man's land to me. So if you took it out, it would be definitely different if you could just go literally from null sec directly to high sec every time, because it's like if you own the border system that jumps you into high sec, you have completely safe, I mean, aside from war decks, but you have completely safe transport and routes into high sec to move stuff, whereas normally you can't have that unless you have jump freighters. And that's like the only way, because you can't just take a freighter and fly it through low sec. That thing will never survive to get to high sec, unless you have an escort with it. But like that's a lot of work to get a couple freighters through. So it's.
I mean, low sec also has different combat too, right? Like no bombs, no bubbles.
No bubbles, right? Yeah. Gate guns,
no
station
bombs,
guns,
no
like
bubbles.
those.
I mean, that's really what it is, right? And the fact that you don't own the stations.
You can always, in faction warfare space in low sec, you just warp to a plex generally. So you're in a frigate, you warp to a novice, go in, another frigate might come to fight you, they might not, depending on how you are with faction warfare. Right. That's some of like the easiest way to get an instant fight, content, etc. Granted, there are gate guns, so
easier to travel. Like,
or like there's there's still gate camps and stuff like that, or smart bombers or whatever.
The thing is though, it's like because there's no bubbles, because you don't have you don't own the space. It's honestly less secure than nullsec than that if an empire owns space at nullsec.
And that's been the goddamn problem with it for so
right.
long.
But the thing is, like,
the fact that it's not lucrative enough paired to the absolute loss of safety that you have.
It's not lucrative,
Bubbles
and
aside,
it's so hard
aside, all
to
these things
control
aside.
the space. Because like unless you have gate camps, and even if you have gate camps, people can still get through that stuff if they have the right type of ships. I mean, if you don't have a a smart bombing battleship screen on a gate, frigates are going to get through. You're not going to stop a frigate from coming through.
Yeah.
And various other stuff. I mean, Tech 3, like Cloaky nullified Tech 3s can usually get through. I mean, yeah, you can catch them, but it's a little hard. I mean, all this
they
stuff.
Don't
So
even
it's like
need to be nullified in low sec.
Right. I mean, and in low sec, if they're Cloaky nullified, it's, even with bubbles and stuff, they can get through too. But I mean, it's like
I do have to close this low sec part out because we have spent way more time on this than I thought that we were going to, given the fact
Why?
that
Well, I'll just go.
given the
low
fact that
sec?
nobody but fucking Rain is even
Nobody
remotely
cares about
associated with
stupid
that.
moon mining, Dirk. Nobody cares.
No,
I care about low
I'm not
sec.
talking about moon mining. I'm going on to the next section of clone
let me-
states
let me-
and open access.
Can I just do a real quick summary on the thing that I was trying to say? There's like low sec is weird because it's like you have to be so active in your space to hold it as your own, because the lack of security and the lack of like border, like being able to control your borders.
You hold it by force.
You hold
do
it by
not hold it
constant
by
force. Constant
mechanic.
force. You have to constantly be in control, generally with superior numbers or just expertise to hold your space. Whereas in nullsec, you just got to own the SOV and just have an intel network, and that's all you really need, because people can just dock up. It's a lot. Like nullsec is just more dangerous. It's like it's harder to like be secure.
Let's go to the next
thing
one.
they could literally not fucking talk about in the minutes. This session consisted of CCP and the CSM discussing the current state of clone states and some ideas for future changes with relation to clone states and open access. The details of this session are not included in the public meeting minutes.
It's
We are
something that I'll
1
get-
year out. We are 1 year out right now from the introduction of alpha clones, okay, in clone states. And literally, they can't talk about anything. There's almost a part of me that wonders, is there something really big coming for this? Or are they talking about deleting this fucker?
Shots.
No comment.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not,
obviously,
it's not
you
for
can't
us to
come-
say, but I would say they might release this at a later date if we ask them to.
Yeah, hopefully.
So we're then going to move on to economics. Economics is one of those really big things. I'm going to do a shot for economics.
This is a great session, amazing, and I'm glad they kept so much of that they did in the notes from what we talked about in there. I was pretty surprised. What about you, Jintin?
Yeah, it was a surprisingly open open thing. Talking about.
There
all
were
of
some
this shit.
surprising things in here, actually. Well, I don't want to say all surprising, but CCP Quant, one of the issues he raised was offshoring of Plex.
All right. Oh, 1 sec, Dirk. So the wording on this is bad because CCP Quant is not the one that raised this issue. The CSM, it should read, one of the issues raised by the CSM was offshoring of Plex. So I just want to clear that up because I already had people ask me about that.
One of the issues raised by the CSM was offshoring of Plex, and that one of the options they were considering.
Wait. Can you explain what offshoring of Plex means? Because I read it, and all I imagined was like people sending Plex an account that was accessed from Bermuda.
Not selling Plex in a station, like a GITA station.
In an NPC station.
Oh, okay.
Offshoring into a Citadel with zero taxes and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, for the context there, that's pretty important because people are reading it as CCP Quant is considering adding a special broker fee to all items like Plex, when in truth it was Aerith's idea that should read like Aerith raised this issue and here's the solution he had for it.
And that is actually further down, which did kind of confuse it. And I know that this is something that Aerith has actually brought up before. But yeah, they're talking about the fact of, look, maybe with Plex, when we're dealing with this shit, and I think it gets brought up actually later on in terms of skill injectors and things like that, that maybe these rules that are associated with offshores like, and right now what we're talking about, NPC stations coupled with structures, that maybe they should get rid of that. Maybe they need to have on their real money trading items, right? Not on a fucking Condor, not on a fucking Raven, but on their real money trading items, that they should actually have a fucking, tax associated with that, so that what we don't have is the kind of gaming of Plex for free that we have right now.
Yeah, people need to have skin in the game. Like, there needs to be a risk, like, behind, because what people are doing is they're setting up these ghost buy orders, right, and driving up the prices. Like if you actually try to sell to the buy order, it's just gonna pop into thin air, right? Okay. And they're just constantly driving up the buy orders and like doing it on purpose. And like, if there was a broker's fee associated to putting a buy order up for longer than instantaneously, that would be higher for Plex, then you wouldn't want to just try to mess with the market like you can with other stuff.
Now, one of the other quotes in the notes, I think, is one of the most poignant, and it happens from time to time. Jin Tan brought up concern that the price of Plex is too damn high. Jin, do you have a big giant fucking mustache?
I don't know. Do you want to take a look?
You actually don't. You do not have the price of Plex is too damn high mustache. Look, this has been going on since the price of Plex was 300 million ISK, okay? I am really fucking sorry for all the people out there that do not have enough ISK in their wallet to be able to buy Plex the way that other people do. This is just part of the economy, and I really don't know that CCP can actually fix this. Okay, at this point, with the longevity of the game and all that.
The problem that I was trying to raise was not that, oh no, the Plex stays too high. The problem is that the Plex rise has massively outstripped actual inflation of like people's
It always has,
individual
though.
wealth.
It always, literally, from the fucking day it was introduced, outstripped inflation.
Yes, but it's been an exponential curve.
Over the last couple of months, it has been a higher growth or higher raise in price than it ever has.
And Aerith brought up in there the fact that at the time, at least at the time that this was going on, there was a concerted effort to push the price of Plex higher, which actually was a thing. We talked about it on this show and other shows, talking in stations and things like that at the time. Absolutely true, okay? And one of the things that was surprising about this entire conversation, if I can find it here, Aerith asked if CCP was open to manipulating the price, to which CCP Quant answered again that they would generally use Plex sales to inject Plex, but they still have a massive stockpile of Plex with which they can use to intervene in the market. I'm going to tell you right now, okay, that was the surprising thing for me for him to say, as well as something that actually got said a couple months ago in, elsewhere in a comment.
That's a fucking
I
shot
literally
across the
stepped
bow,
up to fucking Quant at Vegas. I think it was 2 years ago after Dr. E left, after the fucking ECB supposedly went away after Dr. E left, and they're like, no, we're not messing with Plex in any way other than Plex sales. All of a sudden, he's back on the fucking bandwagon of we have fucking Plex that we can inject into this market.
Well, it's
that's
a threat.
just a
CCP always has had that, though.
It's
Like, that's nothing.
No, he literally said to my face, to a bunch of faces standing around there, okay, no, we're not doing that. We're going to do it through other mechanical measures.
And then the players
you're saying
fuck
the same
with
thing
their
again.
revenue streams. So now you're gonna get
Because
the
we
fucking
told
dip.
them back then that the players would fuck with their revenue streams.
I'm just saying, like, that's never been off the table for them. I don't care what you've heard from them directly, Dirk. Like, CCP has always had that opportunity, and they've always, I believe,
I have
expressed
been a
that they will use it if needed.
of the Eve economic fucking bank, the Eve central bank. I have been a proponent of them actually literally fucking creating it out of thin air to break this shit, to actually work it to like their advantage as a company. Okay, so please don't get me wrong here. Okay, but when we're told back in the fucking day that no, we've like unsubscribed to Dr. E's theories of how this shit works, we're just going to do it through sales of people actually reaching into their wallet to spend it. I'm just saying, it's like, I'm glad to hear that they have that. What I want to see them do is actually rev it up and do it. Actually work like a central bank when it comes down to their real money trading, currency. Even, especially after they converted it, after they did the whole fucking Aurum and Plex conversion. This is when they should be actually serious about this.
Well, okay, so wait, hold on. I gotta address this. NanoQ is saying, why would CCP try and lower the value of Plex? I don't think they because the thing is this might be a misconception. Maybe I'm reading into what NanoQ's question is wrong, but regardless of how much ISK a Plex cost, it's still, or now it's no longer a Plex, but a month worth of Plex. That's still a month worth of membership payment in CCP's pocket. So regardless of how much ISK you spent on it, someone paid CCP for that Plex. And so whether you bought it for 500 million or 1.5 billion, they get the same amount of money, like real life money. So they don't really care one way or the other what it goes for. What they care about is the market going all to shit when it comes to they don't want the Plex market going all fucking haywire.
They shouldn't care about the market. Never should they care about the market.
Well, they don't want the market going all over the fucking place. They want it to be not necessarily stable, but at least within limits. They don't want it to be go from they don't want Plex to shoot to 200% price in a week. That would fuck everything up.
If we look at this from an economic,
I feel so good right now. Love you. P.S. Dirk, you are a sexy man.
Seriously, Pox, now's not the time to fucking either have something to say about fucking Plex.
AKA, if Plex goes up, people that are in the game that have Plex to sell are happy XD.
Yeah,
basically.
No, they're not. Right, no, they're not. And that's what's fucking wrong, okay? Is that, look, there are multiple things that go into the price of Plex, right? Look, I want CCP to make as much money as they possibly fucking can, okay? When people sit there and say, like today, I was talking with fucking Jin. He's like, I've heard people are quitting because of the price of Plex. I don't give a shit if fucking people are quitting from the standpoint of CCP's balance sheet, okay? As long as the number of Plex that are being bought for real life money are still being bought, CCP's not going to worry about it. On the other hand, the gameplay that actually takes place, if we have enough people who quit because they can't pay for their playing of the game through Plex, then that's something CCP would care about. Game, and then that becomes a negative feedback loop for their actual subscriptions.
Yeah, you have to understand that this is an economic spectrum. When Plex is high, players are supposed to buy. Players who have a lot of real life money are supposed to buy Plex, sell it. They're happy, they get money. People who don't play, get to play. So people who don't have real life money can still play. They can just grind it up, and that's an exchange of ISK for real life money. But it's legal, it's run by CCP. The real problem comes in when, at what point does the benefit that the person who's paying extra real life money to CCP for Plex, when does that get to the point where it actively reduces the amount of overall people? Because if you think about it, every person who you price out from being able to play Plex, being able to pay for Plex in-game that's a customer that CCP is losing. It could be temporary.
See, this is the problem, though. They're not losing it.
But it also goes. I think
they're
what
not
you're saying.
losing it. It has to do with the in-game economy, like the in-Plex economy, or I'm sorry, in-ISK economy.
They are losing customers.
No, they're losing the fucking 14th alt for somebody. They're not losing.
Maybe.
But if the 14th alt for thousands of people, that's a lot of money.
One guy who couldn't even play for one subscription price.
Yeah,
right.
Let's look at each other. If you were, let's go back even earlier this year when it was 1.2 billion. Can you honestly say your rate of income is increasing to the point where in a day you can, in the 6 months or so, you can go and increase your monthly earnings by 600 million ISK? The problem is that the ISK forces have gotten so big for certain players, and the drive for alts has gotten so big, and the serialization of alts has gotten so big that it's actively hampering the ability for players who are on the lower end of the ladder to actually play the game anymore, and that's a problem.
And Plex are also getting eaten up by just massive skill farms, right?
Shots.
That's another thing that has actually come into play here. It was something that didn't exist before. Was all of those things that are out there creating the skill point farming segment of the economy, okay, are eating up Plex as well.
Yeah. And then I want to just highlight something.
The point here is that everybody needs to understand one thing. Number one, Plex was not designed for you. Plex was not designed for you to fucking poor man your way into playing fucking Eve, okay? It just was not. It was designed as a real money. It It was designed as combating real money trading.
Right.
And they were going to use the people that could pay in cash to offset the people who had time in this game. And that has actually been like, work like over time, more more income
Plex
generation.
Was introduced to make CCP more money. Let's not beat around the fucking bush here.
No, hold
Plex
on.
exists so that you can have people who play this game who effectively pay for a sub without ever having to pay CCP money directly because they pay through.
That's
time.
what
they
it's
were
used for
using
now, but
some of
it's-
those people in order to combat real money trading.
Because the thing is, like, real money trading, it's like, I don't want to farm up money. I want to buy money. So I'm going to buy money from this guy.
Yeah.
Well, that'll get you banned if you get caught. But now CCP's like, you don't have to do that. You can buy a Plex from us and sell it for money. And it's totally legit if you do it from us. So it's like, they basically added a way to, like, you can RMT through us. And
But
you don't have to
what
worry about
you
getting
have to
banned.
understand is that CCP for a long time has attempted to use Plex as a way to increase the amount of people who play EVE Online.
And
That's
it
what
has.
Plex
And
is.
it
That's what
hold
Plex
on.
serves as a vehicle
It has
for.
increased the number of alts in this game. There's no question about
Yeah,
that. Whether it's
I'm not-
actually increased the number of players, completely different fucking conversation.
I absolutely know for a fact that it's increased the number of players because I used to pay for fucking EVE Online with Plex because I couldn't hold a job because I was 13.
It honestly, I mean, I don't want to say...
Why did we not kill you out of this game back then?
Because Plex was fucking 300 billion.
If we knew you were poor back then, we would have killed you.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to say it necessarily retained me, but the fact is, like, I don't like working really hard for a lot of ISK, and now I'm to a point where, like, I don't necessarily have to, but back when I was first starting out, it's like I had to bust my ass off for, like, 3 to 4 hours a day ratting just to make, like, a few hundred million ISK for the whole week.
Oh my god, this fucking conversation has happened literally since...
And so I'm just saying, it's like...
things about having done a show this fucking long, we have talked about that. I have
multiple times,
I stopped writing articles about Plex because you know what? We talk about this shit all the time. Here's the mad fact of it, okay? You can make money in EVE. If you choose to be poor by living in a place where your income stream is poor, this is not the real world where, like, when people say pull yourself up by the bootstraps, literally in EVE, you can pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You can go out there into the goddamn real world of EVE and fucking make more money.
I'm just saying, you can't,
but you're playing like that. That's not a fun
Let me just
game.
go over the top of all of this. Is Plex prices being high actually impacting the amount of people who are logged on to EVE Online?
Yes, it is.
I don't know.
And is it in a good or bad way? It's
in
it
a
positive
bad
or
way.
negative? Okay, then that means that the Plex prices are bad for what CCP wants to do with EVE Online, which is
So
what are the
CCP
more
should
people
cut
doing
their
that?
revenues,
Subbing
and this
those
is the
people with Plex, are they a fucking
They're
Sino
literally,
alt?
yes.
Are they something that's like totally superfluous to what most people do when it comes to
Fuck you,
actually
Eric.
playing the game?
No, I was just going to tell him I like that comment.
Shut the fuck up. No, it's fuck you, Aerox. That's
No,
exactly
no.
what we should say
Fuck
right now.
yeah, Aerox.
Because he's a goddamn socialist.
I can't.
Plex for
you
everyone.
made a good point there, Dirk. I wanted to respond to it, but now I can't remember it. But okay, I'm just gonna drink some more.
Neither can I.
Let's move.
I haven't drunk enough.
Let's
to
move.
Jintan.
I was just saying, it's like, because when I was early starting out, it's like, I don't know if I would have quit the game, but I definitely found the game a lot funner to stay in because I could spend an extra, $15 to $30 a month buying some Plex and selling it to get all the ISK I want to do shit without having to work for it. As opposed
That's what
to
I do.
because it's like I
I
did.
work 8 to 10 hours a day. Why the fuck am I gonna come home and do some ratting so I can avoid a
Right. So it's like
Vexer to go shoot stuff? No, I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
fucking buy
Actually,
a Plex,
you know what?
sell it for ISK,
Hold
and
on,
then
Dirk.
buy all the shit
Here's
I need.
here's one of those weird times when fucking Eve Onion News says something that is not fucking satire. It doesn't
What?
matter. Less numbers project the perceived health of the game. Dude, that is not fucking satire. This is what I keep telling you every day about what your satire is like versus like what your not satire is. That is actual truth, okay? The perceived numbers of the game fucking matter. All of this shit matters. Now, then again, CCP's balance sheet also matters. And there needs to be a balance
sinister.
between all this.
Why are you saying that higher Plex prices are a positive for CCP?
Because the person that buys the Plex gets more ISK from out of the game.
But there's less.
The people that do buy this.
The higher price, the less people buying them.
Because even the people you supposedly say quit because it gets too high. Okay, guess what? People have been literally saying that from like 500 million ISK on up. And while we have legitimately seen a decline in player numbers, okay, the number of Plex being sold and traded continues to increase.
I was just going to say, the Plex prices wouldn't be that high if people weren't buying them. If people stopped buying them, the prices would go down probably, right?
And this is the whole balance between CCP's balance sheet and the health of the game, right? The health of the game...
I don't think that CCP's long-term balance sheet is benefited by a high Plex price.
When you say long-term, what do you mean? Like by the time you're 60 and looking to retire?
No, if you're losing a person, so say that we'll look at this over the course of like 6 months. So someone buys 6 Plex, and the resulting impact of that over hundreds of thousands of people is like 20 people quit the game. Okay, that means that over the course of a year, you've lost 6 months of income because now players who would previously be playing are not playing the game anymore, and that means you're not getting that consistent revenue.
6 months of income equals like 4 hours of somebody actually working XD.
Yeah, I'm fucking well aware of that, but like, you have to understand that is a thing. Like, CCP's looking to retain long-term customers. That's always been CCP's business model, not pure Plex driven.
I'm gonna pour a shot.
Two things that we go ahead, call a shot, do a shot.
I'm gonna call a shot. We also got a 420 donation.
Yeah, 420 4.20 4.20 4.20. Thank you very much for your donation.
From Anonymous, so I don't know who it was, but thank you, Anonymous.
However, I do want to kind of move
Dear
this on
Anonymous,
a little bit. CCP Fozzie added that they can
over a table right now.
CCP Fozzie added that they can also add Plex as drops as they needed to add to more supply. Look, what we all know, and we've talked about that here on multiple occasions, is the fact that CCP's fucking drop fucking shit out there doesn't matter. It doesn't add up to shit. Okay, until you're gonna actually make that into a real number that we can fucking quantify and sit there and go, whoa, shit, that fucking matters. Does not fucking matter. Okay. Aerith asked, "Is CCP?" CCP Quant then talked about inflation in the game, comparing Serenity and its state to Tranquility. Number one, I'm gonna say this for the 427th motherfucking time. Okay, even back when Dr. E was there and he laid that same bullshit out at FanFest, you cannot compare Tranquility to Serenity. Serenity has absolute 100% legitimate real money trading. I could sell my fucking house and buy a Titan. I can give my house to the guy that has the Titan. That's how legitimate their real money trading is, okay? You cannot compare the two things. Don't ever compare anything regarding economics on Tranquility and Serenity. Don't ever do it. You sound fucking dumb.
Don't you ever talk to me or my wife's 401k again.
Boom! I'm doing a shot drop.
That was a shot drop, if I've ever heard one.
Because I am seriously so fucking dumb tired of that shit. Please don't ever compare us. Literally, the Chinese farmers that we have here, we call Chinese farmers. Over there, they just call farmers.
Yeah. Dirk, just skip down
Condor
to
plays 3 months. Thanks, man. Sorry.
Dirk, just skip down to the topic, then move to margin trading. So it's actually something.
Can we actually just go to fucking margin trading? Can we just delete this shit? Delete margin trading from the game. Period. Dumb.
Margin trading is
the topic. Then moved to margin trading. Some members of the CSM saw a number of issues with it with regard to CCP agreeing that there isn't enough risk. There was some discussion about how changes would be made to increase risk. Suetonia proposed adding an additional broker's fee for using the margin trading skill. CCP Nagual added that one consideration was making sure that escrow was at a minimum higher than the minimum buy for the order. There was some discussion for other alternatives, including make characters lose a level of margin trading in their order fails. Steve suggested that traders could also lose standings at the corporations. There was also some discussion on having a loss of standings to the SEC, which might cause a special broker's fee to kick in. I go back to my original fucking statement. Delete fucking
Yes.
margin trading.
Yes, margin
But
trading.
no other game out there has that kind of shit.
I know.
We
Oh
don't.
my
It
God!
does
It's the
not
Wolf
actually
Glen.
make Eve a better game. It does not
Wolf
make
Glen.
our market better.
Wolf
From
Glen-
the fucking
Just
top
fucking
rope.
delete it.
Wolf Glen just hit us with
$50.
another 50.
God damn that man.
Damn.
So now.
Or
I'm sipping
Dirk
off the
Grant.
nip for you right now. I'm just not
Yeah.
doing it. I'm not doing it because you
I'm
know
gonna
I'm
nip.
serious about this
I'm
section.
gonna
But hold
nip
on.
it. I'm right in the fucking.
But really quick-
that little that eye of the storm where you're like perfectly just fucking drunk.
No, but I want
And I'm
us to
gonna
keep
nip.
going. I want us to keep going. So you
All
can
right,
say
but hold
real
on.
shit or move on.
So with the margin trading, like, it should be deleted because honestly, I understand. Like,
I would say fix rather than delete. in my
well,
opinion.
okay, I don't know
No,
how.
fuck
Okay,
it. Delete
maybe
the skill. Delete the fucking skill. I'm not even talking about like fucking scams. I'm not even talking about
I
market.
want it. I want it gone
I'm talking
because of
about,
the scams.
You know what? Let's move this fucking market onto something where we don't need bullshit fucking margin trading to actually make it work.
No, I'm just saying, like, I understand they made the skill because margin trading is a thing in real life, and they maybe wanted to like mirror real life markets. But the only real reason people use that shit, maybe not 100%, but like the vast majority of people use that shit is for scamming. And the thing
We
is,
don't need
it's the one
we don't
scam.
need margin leverage on the fucking buy side.
I'm
If we
just
wanna
saying,
have that
it's
kind
the-
of shit. It needs to be on a different fucking side of the equation.
Yeah, but
okay.
It's the
I mean,
one
I'm
scam
not-
that you can put on the in-game market, which is supposed to be legit. You can get scammed in contracts, you can
Good.
get scammed in
This
trades,
is,
but you
this is where you sound like you're thinking that no scams ever happen in real government.
No, scams.
And that
I
is
know
so
they
wrong.
do. No, I know
We're
they
not talking
do.
about scams. This is not. A
I'm just
complaint
saying,
against margin trading.
When
scams,
you're buying
okay?
on the in-game market, it's supposed to be legit and secure. And with margin trading, you can get your ass had by that. And unless you know
bullshit,
about,
bullshit. Let's
Who
move
has
unless you
on
know
to the
about
whole
that
fucking
skill,
margin
you'll get your
trading
ass
scam.
had about
Something
it.
on the real Eve market is secure. That is fucking stupid.
Let's
That is
move
not
on
real.
from margin
That is
trading
fake
is a
news.
scam. That's why you need to remove this. That's not
I'm on
the
that
reason
boat.
why
I'm on
you
that
need
boat.
to remove this.
The
And
guy
that's
that
this,
uses
by the way,
it
like, can
legitimately.
we just all appreciate like the fact TCP just let all of this shit go out so that we can have this really long argument about how
Like,
bullshit
who
everything
cares
is?
about margin trading? Like,
Exactly,
what the fuck?
Rain from Imamaki.
Yeah, but for the trader that actually uses margin trading to be able to have more shit than he can afford, and to actually like do his I don't know anything about trading, but for the guy that actually uses it legitimately, like it's a nice thing to have in the game. Like they should just make it so when you don't have the IS to cover, it fucks you. It like fucks you bad. Like you should have skin in the game. Like if your mouse right and checks that
A
your ass
negative
can't cash,
wallet?
right?
Like a negative wallet
No,
plus
they
some?
won't. They won't do negative wallet.
Oh.
Neg walleting people is like kind of bad for the game, and it also doesn't affect people if they like,
They can
I
recreate
really,
new
I
things.
really want to move on. It's like, look, we know that we can literally string this fucking economic discussion out for a long fucking time. I am quite certain that tomorrow on Talking in Stations, some people will do that more sensibly. Caleb will do it on the fucking SEC Lounge. Roden as well. Okay.
Let's keep going then.
Let
However,
the
I
free
want to move on.
market
I want to move on to
fucking
Team
speak.
Event Horizon for the one thing that I like, fucking highlighted in there. Steve added that it would be cool to have an event about salvaging.
What's your
I-
point, Dirk? A lot of newbies.
I'm more
salvage.
than happy to move on to refineries, moon mining, and
Dirk,
reactions.
there's a clip of me watching a little slasher pilot salvage wrecks off of a gate in Losec because somebody had PvP'd there.
Look, if
Don't
you want to
sit there
fucking
and
have
say,
a salvage
"Oh,
tournament, we
salvage
should totally have a
whatever."
salvage tournament. Okay, I think that would be cool for fucking Event T.
I mean,
or
what,
like,
what do you want? No, what do you want?
NZ100
What do you
or
want
wherever
in
you guys
response to
are
that
now.
comment? Because like, there's some legitimacy in salvaging. Like, obviously, Karma Fleet or Goons they're like, hey, take this like destroyer, go salvage stuff if you want to try to make ISK and you don't know how to rap, don't have the skills, don't have the money. Like, they give out ships to do that.
I think salvaging is fucking cool. We've like told people that for
I
years.
like
Like,
salvaging.
look,
Like,
kill and salvage.
Sanitation
So
is
what- so
important
what's your, like,
in
disgusting
every
look
fucking
for?
There's-
society that has ever existed.
Can we
in
move this into
mankind.
the Alliance tournament where like a bunch of people like kill PL and then other people come in and salvage it?
No.
There's nothing more
then you
satisfying
know what?
than
It's
just
like,
taking
whatever.
a Noctis out every
And with the Noctis, you can
couple
actually
years.
use a pink skin, by the way. They have a pink skin that was added on
Why
skin.
would I
I
do
have
that?
it.
A lot
I
of the
literally
things,
filled myself into a Noctis to use
that came
shit
down
for the
during
skin.
the refineries, moons, and reactions segment of the summit actually had to do with some stuff they rolled out in the video the other day. So I'm not sure how much of this to go through. CCP Fozzie explained it as there is now only a single location per moon where moon mining can take place. There is also now adding a 15-minute vulnerability timer when the structure is anchored. So if you're trying to anchor a structure while there are enemies on a grid, they can immediately begin fucking attacking it. Holy shit, how fucking intuitive. This additional vulnerability window will be added to all structures across all areas of space at the same time when refineries are released, October 24th. Madness. Fucking madness.
Madness.
Good change.
Good change.
Step in the right direction.
Good change. Yep.
The CSM asked
You
how
sound so
long
fucking
a
unsure of
field.
that.
I don't even know.
Fucking parroting us, you cuck.
I just
Have a fucking opinion for once.
I'm just jumping on the bandwagon.
Come on, Drayden, just sit there and go, that's bullshit, motherfucker.
No,
Like, all
it
you have
sounded
to say
legit.
is that's bullshit,
No.
motherfucker, and
I
somebody
can't
else
say
would
now.
jump in.
I've already like took my side. It's great. It's amazing.
Anyways, the CSM asked how long a field would last for. I believe this was brought up the other day. In fact, I know for a fact that it was in the stream. To which CCP replied, the asteroid field would disappear in 1 to 2 days if they are not mined out. I'm going to be completely fucking honest. I think 1 to 2 days is a ridiculous number unless you had like a 4-day cycle. And then if you have a 56-day cycle, I think it should actually fucking last more. I think they should have some kind of like.
They don't want stacking on top of each other. So you could do a
Well, it shouldn't be
56-day
like
cycle,
stacking. It should go
and then
away
you could
once
do a
that next
2-day
fucking
cycle.
rock comes in.
That would be a
Right,
thing.
But if you did a 56-day and then right after it you did a 2-day, they don't want to stack the rocks on top
Right.
of each
But
other.
what Dirk is saying is like if you pull a new stack, the second you break that new rock, all the old rocks disappear.
1 to 2
So
days.
if you did a 56-day, you're not going to do a
for
2-day
time.
and then just blow it up right away.
1 to 2
Right.
days, and this is kind of one of the
Unless
weird
you mine
things because CCP Master Plan actually said in Twitch chat the other day when I brought it up, he's like, well, I think it might just be a placeholder, and it's like, look, if you're going to allow 4-day cycles, and if you're going to allow 56-day cycles, and those are going to bring in whatever the fucking M3 is from each of those things, right? A 4-day cycle should not have the same fucking despawn rate as a 56-day cycle. For a couple of reasons. Number one, look, if there is a fucking group out there that wants to allow their shit to fucking hang, fine, let it fucking hang. Like, I don't even care if you fucking double it from 1 to 2 to 2 to 4, okay? But we want to allow ninja-ing of this shit.
I agree with you. I think it probably should be longer, but I have a feeling it's something to do with like either some kind of coding or like just how, I don't know, some kind of conflict, some kind of like technical conflict. I bet if I had to guess, but for a 56-day, you should have a little bit more time to take care of it. But
1 to 2 days, though. I mean, is this an effort to discourage people from holding too many moons? Look, we don't have enough miners to be able to cover all this shit over the course of 1 to 2 days. I mean, what's the point here?
I mean, isn't this whole thing just a way to try and dissuade people from holding too many moons? Like, real talk. That's what it seems to
Or pull
That could be, and that's fine. But have they thought about the other, pieces of it, right? Where if it's only 1 to 2 days, how do you expect ninjas to actually, come in and fucking ninja
I
mine
don't know
your
how
shit?
you
Do they
ninja
have
mine
to
it?
actually be that on top of things to be
Like,
able to recognize
the
that
only way
this
you-
field has been hanging out there?
The only way you ninja mine something is, because no one's gonna blow up a moon field and then just leave it. Like, who does that? The other thing is, so you're gonna have to come in with a combat force to protect your miners, and is that gonna be worth what you're getting out of it? Maybe.
I'm literally gonna fucking kill Aerox right now. I'm literally gonna go out there. He calls
Is
me
it-
bourgeoisie.
be. That's not how you
Bourgeois.
pronounce that. It's
Bourge-
bourgeois.
bourgeois.
Bourgeoisie.
I am
Bourgeoisie,
not
yeah, the
fucking-
bourgeoisie.
Oh,
It's
it matters
like
to
the
Turkestan
aristocratic.
bourgeois, because they can then tell their polite social circles that they were robbed by a masked highwayman. It's like, no, that's not it. I literally want the
That's
highwayman
bourgeois.
to have some fucking like idea of this shit is happening. To be able to sit there and watch entities
Hi,
who
Julie.
are holding too much space and are bringing in their rocks, but they don't have the capability to do it because, like, after the first 2, 3, 4 months, okay, people have
Dirk.
actually given up on this shit,
Dirk.
and they know that, oh my god, their high-end
Dirk.
moon is hanging out exposed. It's like 2 fucking nuts in space.
Dirk, can we go back to the minutes real quick? It says Jintan also asked what GitHub was. He was.
Oh, shit!
Wow.
Really? Get out of here,
Yeah,
Jintan.
I've
I'm
never
actually
seen
kicking you out of the channel right now. No, I'm not. But
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what GitHub is
it's a
myself.
download
How can you be a
site.
fan of
This
them
is
and not know what
derided by
fucking
the rest of
GitHub is?
those attending.
I'm only
anyway,
saying
by
that because
yourself.
I'm
we got
honest
5
with
minutes,
my fucking
What do you
Rodan.
mean? Like, how have
Well,
I ever
4
told
minutes.
in my life? Once, and Lucia
Is it
basically
porn?
talked me through
Is it
every
porn
part.
related?
No,
No,
well, I mean, you
it's,
can get.
actually a
It's a
video.
download. It's it's kind of
Oh,
like
okay,
it's like a
fine,
torrent type of thing. Not quite a torrent, but
So you can like store and collaborate code.
It's
Right,
a
right,
code
it's-
repository.
Yeah.
To be fair, I
Oh my
actually
god, we
went
got
version
4 fucking
control
minutes.
on
Does
it,
anybody
but-
have anything to say on this whole fucking moon thing that has like been going on for a while
I
now?
okay.
You know what I
By the
have
way,
to
what?
say,
rats will be
Dirk?
on
I'm
asteroids out
fucking
there.
gay for Jay.
Okay,
That's what I have.
Pox is gay for Jay. The now this is what I wonder. Like,
Fucking gay
I know
nowadays.
the whole like, oh, they want to drag high sec out to low sec, but like, will this actually cause a migration of high sec miners into low sec? Because will
No,
low sec
no,
need
it will not. No,
will
it will
low
not.
sec
No,
need
no,
the
fucking
extra
low sec
miners
is
to
still gonna
mine all
be
the moon
destroyed
stuff?
over this.
You don't. Does NullSec have enough miners to get all the moon materials out on their own?
No, they do not. Okay, and that's
So
why
they're
the
they're
whole
not
fucking,
gonna
like,
want to try to
scheme of
get
things is gonna be
more
whacked off
bodies
for a
on
while.
hand to get it.
I really do think you're going to see some smaller communities like kind of spring up in low sec to mine these moons, but they're just going to get dunked on, and it's going to suck. It'll be like the Phobie Freeport Republic, where like, oh yeah, this really works for about.
Oh
the
shit,
first
I need
month.
to throw this in. I need to throw it in right now. Jintan asked about how the vulnerability was for Refinage, which CCP showed it was currently set at 20 hours each week, but that those numbers are still being adjusted. Jintan replied, fuck you, make it 16 hours a day, motherfucker. A day.
In those
a
words?
day. Because you know what? He fucking nutted up and said what all of us think, vulnerability windows fucking matter.
Winders.
Yeah, fuck the
Winders.
fucking current
Winders. Them damn winders are too short.
Dude, fuck the current vulnerability system. It's absolute garbo trash. Like it's literally choking the game to death, which is the exact language I used in our structure session. Noobman can back me up.
Yeah.
That it's choking the game to death, and you need to fix it.
Patriarchally fucking man up and get your goddamn vulnerability windows into a real fucking like place. And you know what? I'm not saying it's 16 hours a day because honestly, it's like. Ugh.
What do you mean patriarchy?
However, like, you know, maybe 12 hours a day. 12 hours a day should be like the fucking max out. You know, or
I
maybe
want to
the min
clarify
out.
that this is not like the fun bedroom kind of choking that's actually enjoyable. It's the like hardcore. I'm gonna
Dude, I
strangle
bruised
you with
my
a piano
chest bone
wire.
Who
last
likes?
week
I
with that.
actually am not a fan of choking.
Bruise your chest bone from being choked.
Bruh.
Drayden,
Just saying,
you don't-
is
you
like
haven't
I didn't
been
think
I'm
their
not,
hands
like,
were
I-
so
like,
strong,
I
but-
like the smooth when they just take it like no problem. When they're choking, I'm done with it. It's like no, it's too much for you. You can't handle
it's
it.
just-
Oh no,
You know,
no,
you
we're
know,
talking
I
about
do want
something
to.
else.
I do
Oh,
wanna
we're-
actually
wait,
move
we
on
are?
because Dirk is still fucking sensible at this goddamn moment.
Wait,
Seems
we're-
to be added that there's also a small chance of pulling up a jackpot chunk. Where all the ores are where all the ores are replaced with more valuable versions of themselves. They also added that they would like to add the chance for players to pull up an Eldritch Horror. Fuck the Eldritch Horror. Look, if you're gonna have a fucking jackpot, that means I want somebody to pull up Dirk.
Wait, you guys weren't talking about that? Are
I
you
am
serious?
totally fucking cool with a goddamn jackpot, but I'm telling you right
So,
now,
Drayden,
if you
you
have
were
the
talking
chance
about-
for a jackpot, it's also a chance for
Are you
fucking
talking
dirt.
about?
So
I'm
Drayden,
just talking
have you
about deep
never-
throating. I'm not gonna
So
lie. I'm just
Drayden
talking
was
about deep
talking about
throating.
choking on dicks. Me and Jintan were talking
Can you
about like
guys,
choking
can you people
during
not get on
sex.
choking? Seriously? You wanna
Oh,
talk
you
about
mean
it?
like the
Not
choke?
choking,
Oh,
but
you mean
so-
like the choke? I actually
No,
don't.
there's
So
there's
Rain,
two
I'll so
different types
choke
of
you out in
choking.
Oh,
Vegas.
I don't like that either. Actually, like I don't like either. I don't like either of those two. Like I'm not a fan of either.
So, okay, all right.
I
just-
don't
time
want
out, time
I
out.
don't
It's
want
all
the
fun
girl to
and
be
games
suffer.
till
I don't
Vegas.
want to
Time
make
out,
her
Drayden,
suffer.
Drayden.
Oh my god.
Have you never been with a
Fucking
girl
Dirk at
who
Vegas.
likes to be choked?
if she wanted, if a girl told me to choke her, I'd say no. I'm
By the way,
cool.
the dragon
No
dies.
thanks.
Wow. You
Anyway, okay, no, time's done.
Peace out,
Time's done.
we gotta
We're,
go,
okay,
motherfuckers. You know what? I
Oh
wish
my
I had
God.
more fucking time with these minutes because there's more funny fucking stuff. But we gotta go because that
yeah.
James Poner is like.
Yeah. Okay, Games Poner's up next.
A
Julie's
little
playing.
mini-bit for
I'm
Games
not sure if she's
Poner.
playing, but Julie's up next, and we're out of here.
No, I have
He
more to
gives
say.
me a
I have more to
James
say about
Boner
this. And
express
tomorrow on
setting.
Talking in Stations. Fuck it, I'm waking up for it.
All right, later, bitches.
All right.
Later,
Are we doing
bitches.
Later,
after show?
bitches.
Later, bitches.